When trees talked, the oldest belief. Have you ever just sat quietly in a forest, listening to the wind whisper through the leaves, and felt like the trees were saying something? For a very long time, before big cities and complex religions, our ancestors truly felt this. They deeply believed that everything around them was alive, just like them. Not only animals, but rocks, flowing rivers, and especially ancient trees. They found spirits in the gentle rustle of the wind, in the steady flow of a river, and even in the quiet strength of a mountain. This way of thinking, where everything holds a spirit or life force, is one of the oldest beliefs known to humankind. It's called animism. It wasn't a religion with many strict rules or a holy book. Instead, it was how people naturally understood the living world they were part of. Imagine living in a time when every movement of leaves, every animal call, seemed to carry a message, a voice from the living world. There was no real separation between people and nature. They felt deeply connected because they truly believed everything had its own soul. Think about how we now understand that forests are connected underground by a wood-wide web of fungi, sharing nutrients and sending signals. Even without that, science, ancient people felt this deep connection. They believed trees communicated not just through roots, but through spirit, through a shared aliveness. It's a bit like how you might feel a true connection to your pet, knowing they have feelings and a personality. For ancient people, this feeling of life extended to the entire natural world around them. This ancient belief taught people to live in deep harmony with the earth. It taught profound respect for all life. If a tree truly has a spirit, you wouldn't just cut it down without thought. You'd ask for permission, offer thanks. This deep understanding helped them care for their environment. It gently reminds us that there's a profound wisdom in seeing the world as alive and aware. And perhaps we can still learn to listen to the ancient whispers that echo quietly in every living thing. It's a quiet understanding that links us to something much older and deeper. Stargazers, ancient sky wisdom. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, far from city lights, and felt a strange pull? A feeling of being tiny, yet connected to something enormous. For people long ago, this wasn't just a fleeting thought. The stars weren't just pretty lights. They were like a giant clock, a calendar, and even a profound storybook, all rolled into one. This was their sky wisdom. Imagine life without phones or wall calendars. How would you know when to plant seeds or expect winter? Ancient cultures all over the world looked up. They watched the stars, night after night, year after year, finding patterns. Certain star groups told them when to plant or harvest. Others signaled winter, a time for quiet reflection. This wasn't just science. It was a deep, spiritual way of understanding their world, finding rhythm in the vast unknown. They believed the stars held secrets, messages from the heavens. They thought planet movements could affect life on Earth, guiding destiny. This was their way of finding order in a vast, sometimes scary, universe. Think about your phone's weather app. It tells you about rain or sun, helping you plan. Now, imagine if that app also told you stories about your gods or hinted at your future, all based on the sky. That's how ancient people saw the stars. So, when they gazed up, they weren't just seeing points of light. They were seeing wisdom, a cosmic dance, a reflection of their own lives and beliefs. It reminds us that even without our modern tools, humans have always looked to the vastness above. They sought meaning and found it in the silent, sparkling wisdom of the sky. And maybe, deep down, we still do too. The stars still ask us questions, don't they? The hunter's spirit, early animal magic. Have you ever wondered what it was like to live in a world where wild animals were all around you, every single day? A long, long time ago, before cities and even farms, people lived very closely with animals. They watched them, hunted them, and depended on them for everything. But there was something more than just survival happening. Early people felt a deep connection to these creatures. They believed that animals had spirits, just like humans. This idea is what we call animal magic, or the hunter's spirit. It wasn't about tricks or spells. Instead, it was a way of understanding the world. People looked at a powerful bear or a swift deer, and they saw not just meat, but also strength, speed, and wisdom. They thought these animals held special knowledge about how to live and thrive in the wild. So, when they hunted, it wasn't just about catching food. It was often a sacred act, full of respect. They might have thanked the animal's spirit, or worn parts of it, like claws or teeth, hoping to gain its courage or skill. This deep respect for animals helped them feel connected to nature itself. It was a way to make sense of their lives and to feel like they belonged in a powerful, sometimes scary, world. Think about how you might feel when you see a really strong animal, even if it's just on a TV show. Maybe a powerful lion or a graceful hawk. You might think, wow, I wish I could be that strong, or I wish I could fly like that. It's a little bit like that. Or, it's like when an athlete wears a lucky jersey because they feel it connects them to a winning spirit. Early humans did this, but on a much deeper level, connecting to the very essence of the animal, to help them survive. This ancient way of thinking shows us something important. It reminds us that for thousands of years, humans have looked at the world around them, the animals, the forests, the rivers, and felt a sense of wonder and connection. And maybe, just maybe, a little bit of that wild, ancient spirit still whispers to us today. Whispers from the past, ancestor power. Have you ever stopped to think about all the people who lived before you? Not just your parents, but everyone stretching back thousands of years. What did they know? What did they feel? The idea of ancestor power is how many cultures understood this deep connection. It's not about magic. It's about seeing ourselves as threads in a very old, very long blanket woven by human hands over time. Across different times and places, people believed their ancestors weren't truly gone. They felt their spirits were still around, watching, maybe even guiding. Think about ancient Egyptians building huge pyramids to honor their pharaohs, believing they'd protect the living. Or many indigenous cultures, where elders share stories of ancestors, keeping their wisdom alive for new generations. This belief gave people strength. It gave them roots. It reminded them they weren't alone, that a whole lineage stood behind them, connecting them to the past. Here's an example. Imagine a big, strong tree. Its leaves reach for the sun. Its branches grow wide. But what truly holds it up, giving it what it needs, are its roots. Those roots stretch deep into the earth, drawing up water and nutrients. Our ancestors are like those roots. We might not see them, or know all their names, but their lives, their struggles, their inventions, and their dreams built the ground we stand on. Every discovery, every bit of knowledge, every piece of art created long ago, shapes our world. Today ancestor power is a quiet understanding that we are part of something much bigger. We carry echoes of their lives, their strengths, and their lessons. It reminds us to live well, to learn, and to leave something good behind, just as they did for us. It's a gentle reminder that we are all connected, forever, through time. Cave paintings and dreams. Shamanic journeys. Have you ever had a dream so real it felt like you actually went somewhere? Imagine living thousands of years ago, when the world was vast and mysterious. How would people explain those powerful inner journeys, those vivid visions? For ancient people, these weren't just random thoughts. They were pathways to other worlds. This is where shamans come in. A shaman was a special person who journeyed into spirit worlds. They used intense dance, rhythmic drumming, or deep trance states, like a very focused dream. They sought answers, healed, or solved mysteries. When they returned, they shared what they saw through stories, rituals, or cave paintings. Consider cave paintings in places like Lascaux. They show animals, figures, and symbols. Some think these are visions from shamanic journeys, maps of the spirit world, or attempts to capture trance power, not just daily scenes. It was their way to make the unseen world real. It's like when you're deep into a video game or book. Your mind can feel totally elsewhere. You're still in your room, but your thoughts are transported. For shamans, this was a deeper, chosen journey. They believed they could reach another layer of reality, a place of wisdom and healing. So, these cave paintings and dreams were more than pictures or thoughts. They were deep attempts to connect with something huge, to understand the universe and their place. They remind us humans have always looked inward, searching for meaning and wonder. In the mind's secret places, gods of the Nile, life after death in Egypt. Have you ever wondered what happens when a story ends, or if some parts of us just keep going? For the ancient Egyptians, life wasn't a line that simply stopped. It was more like a mighty river, flowing onward, changing form but never truly disappearing. They watched the Nile River flood and retreat every single year, bringing new life to the dry land. This constant cycle taught them that death, too, was part of a bigger plan, a sacred passage to another, unseen world. They held a deep belief that when someone died, their spirit began an important journey. It was a journey through the underworld, a place filled with challenges and tests. Their gods were not just figures to worship, but guides and protectors on this path. Osiris, the god of the underworld, was like the ultimate judge, holding the scales, deciding if your spirit was pure, enough for an eternal existence, and Anubis, with his jackal head, was there to protect you and gently guide you safely through the dangers of that path. This belief wasn't just a hopeful dream for the Egyptians. It was the very core of their daily lives, influencing everything they did. Think about a caterpillar changing into a butterfly. The caterpillar doesn't die in the cocoon. It transforms into something new, something beautiful and able to fly. The Egyptians believed our spirit did something similar after death. It transformed, becoming ready for a peaceful kind of existence in a beautiful place they called the Field of Reeds. So, they spent their lives preparing for this next stage. They aimed to live by rules of kindness, honesty, and truth, hoping to pass the judgments of the gods. They built elaborate tombs, like special homes for the journey, and filled them with things they'd need for their travels, like food, tools, and beloved treasures. Because, for them, death wasn't a final, sad goodbye. It was an elaborate, hopeful preparation for an even grander welcome. It was a deep, quiet assurance that something essential within us goes on, a comforting thought that even after our physical form fades, our true essence might simply be continuing its journey, just beyond what our eyes can see. Mighty Babylon, tales from Mesopotamia. Have you ever gazed up at the night sky, at all those countless stars, and felt very small, but also part of something huge? Imagine living long ago, in a place called Mesopotamia, where mighty Babylon rose from the dust. For the people of Babylon, the sky wasn't just a pretty view. It was a giant, living book, full of messages from powerful gods. They believed everything, from the sun's path to the river's flow, was guided by these beings. Their spiritual system wasn't like a church you visit. It was woven into every single day. Their immense towers, called ziggurats, reached high towards the heavens. They built these not just as temples, but as stairways to the divine, places where priests could climb closer to the gods, hoping to understand their will. They watched the planets move with amazing care, believing each star, each planet, held a specific power or told a story about what might happen on Earth. This was their way of trying to understand the world's big mysteries. Why the river flooded, why crops grew, or why people got sick. They sought order in the universe, looking for patterns that would guide their lives. Think about how we might use a weather app today to predict if it will rain. We check it to plan our day, right? The Babylonians did something similar, but with the stars. They meticulously mapped the sky, not just for science, but to interpret divine signs. If Mars moved a certain way, it might mean war. If Jupiter shone brightly, it could promise good harvests. They thought that by understanding these celestial messages, they could live in harmony with the cosmos, making good decisions, hoping for peace and prosperity. So, when we look back at Babylon, we see more than just ancient ruins. We see a profound, the human effort to connect with the unknown, to find meaning in a vast and sometimes scary world. Their stories and beliefs, etched into clay tablets and painted on temple walls, remind us that across all time, people have yearned to understand their place in the universe, to feel connected to something much bigger than themselves. And in that shared yearning, we find a quiet echo of their spirit, even today. The Great Flood, old stories. New worlds. Have you ever stopped to think about how many old stories, from all over the world, talk about a huge flood? It's kind of amazing. You know the one about Noah's Ark from the Bible, right? But here's the thing. Ancient people in faraway places, like Mesopotamia, had similar tales, such as the story in the Epic of Gilgamesh, and many Native American tribes, and even groups in Australia, tell their own versions of a giant water disaster that reshaped the world. It's like this idea of a great flood just echoed through history. These stories aren't just exciting, adventurous, they are really deep, often sad, but also hopeful. They talk about a world ending, everything getting washed away, but then a new world beginning. People have wondered for ages why these tales are so common. Maybe, some say, there were actual huge floods long ago that everyone remembered. But a more interesting idea is that these stories are a way for humans to understand big, crushing changes. Imagine a whole way of life, or a community, facing something so huge it feels like an end. The flood myth helps explain that painful reset, and how, from that destruction, something entirely new can sprout. It's about losing almost everything, and then, somehow, finding the strength to start over. Think about a moment in your own life that felt like a huge shift. Maybe you moved to a new town, or started a new school. At first, it might have felt overwhelming, like your old life was gone, washed away. But then, slowly, you started to make new friends, find new routines, and discover new parts of yourself. It was an ending, but it quickly became a new beginning. That big change, even if it was tough, actually cleared space for something fresh and different to grow. So, these old flood stories are more than just myths about water. They're like ancient lessons wrapped in a powerful image. They gently remind us that even the hardest endings carry the seeds of new beginnings. They teach us that life is incredibly tough and resilient. And they whisper that no matter how much is lost, there's always a chance to rebuild, to grow, and to create something beautiful again from the quiet, cleared space. It's about hope finding its way, always. Sun worshippers, how people honored the light. Have you ever stopped on a cold day and felt the sun warm your skin? Or watched how plants leaned towards a window, chasing every ray? For humans throughout history, the sun was more than just a light in the sky. It was the giver of all life, a silent, powerful promise each morning. Imagine a time long ago, when electric lights didn't exist, and survival depended on the land. The sun meant crops would grow, bringing food. It meant warmth, protecting against the chilling dark. It helped people know the seasons, when to plant and when to harvest, guiding their entire lives. This constant, dependable cycle of light and dark made the sun feel like a living, breathing being, deserving of the deepest respect and awe. It was a source of mystery and wonder. 2. Where did it go at night? Where did it come from each dawn? Because of this deep connection, many ancient civilizations began to honor the sun as a god or a powerful spirit. From the ancient Egyptians, who worshipped Ra, to the Incas in South America, who revered Inca people, built grand temples, created beautiful art, and held ceremonies to thank the sun. They understood that without its warmth and light, their world would be dark, cold, and lifeless. It wasn't just a belief system, it was a profound way of understanding their place in the universe. Think about how you feel on a long, gloomy day. Maybe you feel a little tired, a little down. But then, when the sun finally shines through the clouds, you feel a lift, a sense of hope, a burst of energy. That feeling, that natural pull towards the light, is what ancient people felt, but on a much bigger scale. They saw it as the ultimate source of goodness, health, and happiness. So when we look up at the sun today, we can still feel that ancient connection. It reminds us of life's simple, powerful gifts: light, warmth, and the promise of a new day. It's a quiet lesson in how everything is connected, and how the simplest things can hold the greatest meaning. Olympus high, the gods of ancient Greece. Have you ever wondered why the sky sometimes turns dark with thunder, or why feelings of love and anger can sweep over us so powerfully? Long ago, people didn't have science to explain these things, so they told stories. In ancient Greece, they imagined a family of powerful gods and goddesses living high up on Mount Olympus. They weren't just made-up characters, they were like living explanations for everything. Zeus, the king, ruled the sky and threw lightning bolts when he was angry. Poseidon controlled the oceans, and Athena, wise and brave, was the goddess of strategy and art. Each god wasn't just powerful, they were also a mirror reflecting human nature. Think about it. Hera, Zeus's wife, was often jealous. Ares was impulsive and loved war. These gods showed the best and worst parts of people. Here's the thing, these stories helped people understand their world. If the crops failed, maybe Demeter, the goddess of harvest, was sad. If a ship sank, perhaps Poseidon was displeased. It gave them a way to connect with the unpredictable forces of nature and even their own complex emotions. Imagine feeling really frustrated with a difficult school project. You might not have a god for homework woes, but the ancient Greeks had gods for almost every part of their lives, from love to war to wisdom. What these stories really tell us is how humans have always tried to make sense of life. They looked at the world, at their own hearts, and saw patterns. They created figures that embodied these patterns, making them easier to grasp. Even today, these ancient myths remind us that sometimes The biggest truths are found not just in facts, but in the feelings and stories we share. They offer a quiet understanding of what it means to be human, facing a world that is both beautiful and sometimes a little frightening. Rome's mighty empire, gods of stone and war. Have you ever thought about what truly holds a mighty empire together? Is it just the strength of armies, or something deeper, something unseen that binds it all? For the Romans, their gods were as solid and unmoving as the stones they used to build their roads and cities. These weren't quiet, distant gods. They were powerful, like stern generals, woven into every part of Roman life. From planting crops to fierce battles, the gods were always there. The Romans didn't just offer prayers. They believed their chosen deities, Jupiter, Mars, Minerva, were true partners in their quest for power, order, and control over their vast world. When Rome expanded, absorbing new lands, it often welcomed their gods too, making them part of the Roman family of deities. This wasn't weakness, it was clever strength. It showed how flexible their spiritual system could be, able to grow and change, much like their empire itself. These gods weren't just for ceremonies, they were for purpose. They gave reasons for Rome's strict laws, for its victories, and even for the lessons learned from defeats. Every temple, every statue, was more than just art. It was a promise kept, a hopeful dream, made real in stone and bronze. Consider this. Imagine building a massive machine that needs to run perfectly for centuries. Every gear, every lever, must be incredibly strong and work together. For the Romans, their gods were like those essential, powerful parts. They trusted these divine forces to bring structure and meaning to their world, allowing their empire to stand tall. Just as strong foundations let a skyscraper reach for the sky, they relied on these spiritual foundations to uphold their laws and their way of life. So, the Roman gods, born of stone and shaped by war, whisper something important to us. They show how beliefs can be woven into the very fabric of a civilization. They gave Rome its unique shape, its direction, and a shared feeling of destiny. Even in their might, these ancient beliefs reflect our own human needs, for order, for meaning, and for something powerful to believe in when life feels uncertain. These echoes still remind us of the endless human search for purpose, and how different cultures find that purpose in unique ways. Norse legends, Vikings and their wild worlds. Have you ever wondered how people long ago made sense of a world that felt both magical and truly dangerous? Imagine living where wild storms roared and vast, unknown oceans stretched forever. For the Vikings, those legendary sailors and explorers, their spiritual world was as vast and untamed as the seas they sailed. They didn't just tell stories. They lived inside a whole universe filled with powerful gods, enormous giants, and mythical creatures that helped them figure out their place in everything. These Norse legends were so much more than just simple tales. They were how the Vikings explained thunder, the shifting seasons, and why a brave warrior might go to a place like Valhalla after a battle. Try to picture a world where the sun and moon were actually being chased across the sky, or where a gigantic tree connected 9 different realms, places like the icy land of Niflheim and the fiery Muspelheim. These deep myths gave serious meaning to lives that were often incredibly harsh. They offered courage when facing danger and gave people a strong reason to keep pushing forward, even when things felt truly impossible. It was a belief system that taught them that while some things might be fated, bravery and honor could absolutely shape your own journey through life. Think about how sometimes when something big and kind of scary happens, like a really loud thunderstorm outside your window, or maybe a sudden, unexpected change in your own life, you might feel a bit lost. You might even wonder why it's all happening. The Norse myths worked like that for the Vikings. They gave names and reasons to the powerful, uncontrollable forces all around them. A lightning strike wasn't just weather. For them, it was Thor's mighty hammer Mjolnir, protecting their world. This helped them feel a deep connection, like even in moments of chaos, there was a reason, a story, a purpose behind it all. So, when we look at these ancient tales of powerful gods and fearless heroes, we discover something really important. They remind us that for thousands of years, humans have used stories not just for fun, but to find inner strength, to bravely face the unknown, and to weave courage into the very way they live their lives. The echoes of these wild, old worlds still reach us, showing us that finding meaning, even in life's biggest mysteries, can be a truly powerful and comforting thing. Celtic mystery, Druids, and forest secrets. Have you ever stood in a very old forest, felt the quiet, and wondered what secrets the trees hold? Long ago, in ancient lands like Ireland and Britain, the Celtic people lived deep in the natural world. They had a special group of wise leaders called the Druids. These weren't just priests, they were judges, healers, teachers, and poets, all wrapped into one. Their classrooms were the groves of oak trees, their libraries the rustling leaves, and flowing rivers. For the Druids, the natural world was alive with spirit. Every tree, every stone, every stream had a soul, a voice to be heard. They believed that life, death, and rebirth were all part of a great, never-ending circle, just like the changing seasons. The oak tree, especially, was sacred to them, a symbol of strength and wisdom. They would gather in these ancient woodlands, not in grand buildings, to connect with the divine. Here's the thing about their knowledge. It was passed down by word of mouth, through songs and stories, never written down. This made their wisdom very personal, very special. Think about how you feel when you visit a place that's really old, like an ancient castle or a quiet, untouched part of a park. There's a feeling there, right? A sense of history, maybe even of echoes from the past. That's a bit like how the Druids felt about their sacred groves. They understood that the earth was their first teacher, holding deep truths. And so, their mystery wasn't about hidden codes or secret societies, in the way we might think today. It was about listening deeply to the world around them, finding the sacred in every rustle of leaves, every murmur of water. It reminds us that sometimes, the most profound wisdom isn't found in books, but in the quiet, reflective moments we spend connecting with the ancient, breathing world beneath our feet. The way of the Tao. Finding balance in China. Have you ever felt like life has a rhythm, moving in waves? One day you're full of energy, the next, a little tired. Ancient people in China noticed this natural dance. They found a deep philosophy, called Taoism, or the Way. It's about finding harmony in everything. Imagine the world as two flowing energies, light and dark, busy and quiet, strong and gentle. This is called yin and yang. They don't fight. They complete each other, like shadows need sunlight. Laozi, a very wise teacher, wrote about this. He taught that true peace comes from moving with life's flow, not against it. It's about listening to the world, and to yourself. Think about a river. It doesn't smash into a big rock. It simply flows around it, finding a new path. That's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the river understanding its gentle power. Here's what I found. When you feel super busy, trying to do too many things, sometimes the best help is to pause, take a few deep breaths, step away. This small break helps clear your mind. You'll come back calmer, more focused. That's finding your own Tao, your balance. The Tao reminds us that everything changes. There's a time for doing and a time for simply being. Accepting this natural rhythm, like breathing in and out, brings quiet strength. It's about knowing when to speak and when to listen, when to push and when to let go. And that's why it matters, finding your calm center, your balance, in a world that often feels loud. It's like water, soft yet powerful, shaping things not by force, but by its steady, peaceful way. Wise teachers, Confucius and good living. Have you ever stopped to wonder what makes a life good? Not just a happy life, but a good one. What if the path to a meaningful life wasn't about big, dramatic answers, but the quiet choices we make every single day? Thousands of years ago, in ancient China, there lived a wise teacher named Confucius. He wasn't talking about gods or mystical heavens, but about how we live together, as people, right here on earth. He believed a truly good life, and a peaceful society, came from strong character within ourselves. It was about being kind, honest, respectful, and acting with integrity in every little thing we do. Imagine a beautiful garden. If each flower, each blade of grass, and each tree grows with care and contributes its part, the whole garden thrives. Confucius saw society the same way. He taught that if each person cultivates goodness within themselves, if we nurture our honesty like a strong root, and let our kindness bloom like a vibrant flower, then our families, schools, and communities will naturally become places of harmony and peace. His wisdom feels like a gentle, steady light, reminding us that even small acts of goodness ripple outwards. It reminds us that treating others fairly, listening with an open heart, and speaking truthfully aren't just polite manners, these are the foundations of a life well lived. Perhaps the deepest wisdom isn't a complex secret, but simply the quiet courage to be a good human every single day. It's about choosing the path of respect, one step, one moment at a time. The Buddha's path, finding peace inside. Have you ever felt that quiet ache inside? A restless feeling that something isn't quite right, even when everything seems okay. It's a feeling many of us know well. For thousands of years, people have tried to understand this very feeling. A man named Siddhartha Gautama, who lived in ancient India around 2,500 years ago, explored it deeply. He's the one we now know as the Buddha. Siddhartha grew up a prince, surrounded by every luxury imaginable. But when he ventured outside his palace, he saw suffering everywhere, sickness, old age, and profound sadness. This made him wonder why people hurt so much, and if there was a way to truly find lasting happiness. He left his comfortable life behind, giving up his crown, to find a way to end this suffering, not just for himself, but for everyone. After years of searching, meditating, and truly looking within, he found a profound understanding, often called enlightenment, while sitting quietly under a tree. Here's the thing, he realized. Much of our unhappiness comes not from the world around us, but from how we react to it. It comes from constantly wanting things to be different than they are, or from clinging tightly to things we can't truly control. Think about it like holding a handful of fine sand. If you squeeze your hand really tight, trying to hold onto every single grain, the sand just slips away through your fingers, and your hand gets tired and sore. But what if you gently open your hand? The sand is still there, resting calmly in your palm, but you're not struggling anymore. You're not hurting yourself trying to control something that naturally flows. The Buddha taught that our attachments, our strong desires, and our need for things to be a certain way are exactly like that tight squeeze. When we learn to let go of that grip, to accept things as they are in this moment, we can find a deep, quiet peace that stays with us. This path isn't about becoming perfect or never feeling upset again. It's about understanding that true calm isn't found by changing everything outside of us to suit our wishes. Instead, it's about discovering a steady stillness within, a quiet strength that remains, no matter what storms might be brewing in the world around you. It's a profound journey to find that peaceful place inside yourself, a place where you can just be, truly at ease, even when life feels messy. Many gods, one truth. The rivers of India. Have you ever looked at a map and noticed how countless rivers, big and small, all flow in different directions? They wind through mountains and plains. But here's the thing, no matter how different they look, where do they all end up? They meet the ocean. This idea of many paths leading to one great destination helps us understand something deep about spiritual systems in a place like India. For thousands of years, people in India have explored big questions. Who are we? What is truth? How do we find peace? They found answers weren't always simple or singular. Instead, they embraced many ways to understand the divine, many names for ultimate reality, and many forms the sacred can take. Think of it like this. A child might call their parent mom or dad, while a friend uses their first name. It's the same person, seen differently by people with different relationships. In India, you might see beautiful temples dedicated to Ganesha, the elephant-headed god of new beginnings, or to Shiva, the powerful god of transformation. You might hear stories of Vishnu, the preserver. Hundreds of deities exist, but here's the quiet understanding that weaves through it all. These many gods are often seen not as separate powers, but as different expressions, different faces, different rivers of that one ultimate, nameless truth. They are like different lenses through which we try to grasp something too vast for any single mind. So, when we look at India's spiritual landscape, it isn't about choosing one right river and ignoring others. It's about seeing the beauty in each river's journey, understanding each one contributes to the vast, unifying ocean. It's an invitation to see unity in diversity, to find shared truth, even amidst countless ways of seeking it. It helps us remember that even if our own paths look different, we might all be moving towards a similar deep understanding of life. Jainism's gentle path. Kindness to all life. Have you ever thought about how you share this world? Not just with other people, but with every tiny creature, every plant, every single living thing. There's an ancient way of thinking, called Jainism, that centers around this very idea. It's about a deeply gentle path, a way of life built on kindness to all life. At its heart is a simple but powerful word, ahimsa. It means non-violence. But it's more than just not hurting. It's about actively caring for and respecting every single spark of life, no matter how small. Imagine a world where every ant, every blade of grass, every whisper of wind holds a precious, unique soul. This is how the Jains see things. Thousands of years ago, a great teacher named Mahavira shared these insights. He taught that true peace comes from understanding that all life is connected, like threads in a giant, beautiful tapestry. If you pull one thread, the whole picture feels it. So, for Jains, kindness isn't just a good idea. It's the fundamental truth of the universe. It's how you live in harmony with everything around you. Think about your own actions. When you choose kindness, even in small ways, maybe helping a friend, or being careful not to step on an insect, what happens inside you? There's a quiet sense of peace, right? It's a bit like a pond. If you throw a stone in, the ripples spread out and touch everything. In the same way, every action, every thought, every word of kindness we send out touches the world around us, and it comes back to us. Understanding that the life force that animates you is the same life force that animates a tiny beetle or a towering tree. We're all sharing this grand, amazing moment of existence together. This gentle path of Jainism asks us to pause, to truly see the life around us, and to choose compassion. It's a way to feel more connected, more whole. And that's why it matters. Because when we act with such deep kindness, we're not just changing the world outside us, we're also building a quiet, loving peace within ourselves. It's a powerful idea that by protecting the smallest, we protect a part of ourselves, and we help the whole world flourish, one gentle step at a time. The covenants, a people and their God. Have you ever made a really important promise? Not just a casual one, but one that truly felt important, maybe changing things between you and someone else. This deep, binding promise is what we call a covenant. In many spiritual traditions, especially in the Abrahamic traditions like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, a covenant isn't just a simple agreement. It's a sacred bond, a deep pledge between a people and their God. Think of it like a cosmic agreement, a handshake across time, where both sides promise certain duties. It's not just a contract you sign and forget. It's a living promise that shapes how a community sees itself, how they live, and what their purpose is. Imagine your favorite sports team. They don't just show up and play. They make a pact, right? A silent agreement to work together, support each other, for a common goal. They promise to practice, to learn the plays, and to trust their teammates. This shared understanding, this deep commitment, builds a bond stronger than any individual player. It gives them identity and a way forward. A covenant, spiritually, works like this, but on a much bigger scale. It's about shared history, shared destiny, and knowing what it means to be part of something bigger than yourself. These covenants whisper across centuries, telling stories of faith and endurance. They remind us some promises are so powerful, they can shape entire civilizations. They invite us to consider the deep connections that bind us, not just to each other, but to the very meaning and purpose that has guided humanity for ages. It's a quiet knowing, a steady light, reminding us of the power of a promise kept. The story of Jesus, a faith that grew. Have you ever wondered how a single idea, spoken by one person, can quietly spread across the whole world and reshape history? Here's the thing, many of the biggest stories began as small whispers, and that's certainly true for the story of Jesus, a figure whose life and teachings sparked a faith that grew from a tiny group into one of the largest spiritual paths on earth. Christianity. About 2,000 years ago, in a land called Judea, a man named Jesus lived and taught. He didn't write books or build empires. Instead, he simply shared messages about love, forgiveness, and treating others as you'd want to be treated. His lessons were often told as simple stories, called parables, about farmers, travelers, and everyday life. He spoke of a kingdom, not of this world, but one of the heart, where everyone was welcome and valued. Many people were drawn to his words, feeling a deep truth in them, a sense of hope and belonging. At first, his followers were just a handful of people, fishermen and ordinary folk. It was like planting a single tiny seed. You wouldn't think it could become a vast forest, right? But with time, and because of the deep conviction his early followers had, that seed began to sprout. They shared his message from person to person, town to town, even across oceans. It wasn't about force or power. It was about the power of an idea that felt right, a way of living that offered comfort and meaning. His teachings offered a fresh perspective on human dignity and spiritual connection. So, this faith didn't conquer with armies, but with kindness and conviction. It reminded people that even the smallest acts of love can create the biggest changes. It's a quiet reminder that sometimes the most enduring power isn't loud or flashy. It's found in simple truths, whispered from one heart to another, growing steadily like roots reaching deep into the earth, holding something profound and hopeful for generations. 5 Pillars of Faith. Following the prophets. Why have you ever thought about what gives a life its steady compass? What might guide someone daily, not just in actions, but in their heart? For millions around the world, this guidance comes from a spiritual path called Islam. At its very core lie what are known as the 5 Pillars of Faith. These aren't just strict rules. They are like 5 strong foundations, shaping a way of living that connects a person deeply to their beliefs and to others. Imagine building a sturdy house. You start with a strong foundation, right? The 5 pillars are much like that for a Muslim's faith. They are practices taught by the Prophet Muhammad centuries ago, meant to bring a sense of order and closeness to God. It's not about being perfect, but about finding a consistent rhythm. These pillars include declaring faith, prayer, charity, fasting, and pilgrimage. These actions create a quiet framework for spiritual growth, a gentle reminder of purpose. Think about learning a musical instrument, like a guitar. You learn basic chords and practice them daily. These small practices might seem simple alone, but together, they build skill and discipline. The 5 pillars are like those foundational practices. Each one seems straightforward, but practiced consistently, they help a person build a strong inner melody, a life tuned to a higher purpose. They help quiet the mind and center the spirit. Here's the thing. These pillars aren't just outward actions. They are pathways inward. They are about finding peace in routine, strength in community, and meaning in devotion. They teach humility, patience, and generosity. Following this path is less about rules and more about finding a profound sense of belonging and a calm strength that carries you through life's journey, step by gentle step. It's about remembering how small, consistent actions can shape a life of true significance. Shinto spirits, nature's magic in Japan. Have you ever stood by a mighty tree and felt something special, almost alive, about it? Or watched a powerful waterfall crash down and felt a quiet, grand feeling wash over you? In Japan, there's an ancient way of seeing the world called Shinto that explains this feeling. It's not like religions with one main book or a single founder. Instead, Shinto is all about feeling the presence of kami spirits, or special essences in everything around us. These kami aren't like gods who live far away in the sky. They are right here, woven into the world. You can find kami in the soft rustle of leaves, the quiet strength of a mountain, or the sparkling energy of a river. Even certain people or everyday objects that have a unique, special feeling can hold kami. For thousands of years, Japanese people have believed the world is full of these vibrant, living spirits. This means respecting nature isn't just a good idea, it's a deeply sacred act. When someone bows at a Shinto shrine, they're not just in a building. They are connecting with the kami of that specific spot, the special spirit that makes that place unique. Think about how you feel in different places. When you walk into a quiet, peaceful library, it feels completely different from a noisy, busy playground. That specific feeling or vibe a place gives off, Shinto suggests that's the kami, the spirit of that place, shaping the air and your experience. It's like the personality a room has. This way of seeing the world teaches us a really simple, powerful lesson. It suggests that if we just pay a little more attention, if we open our hearts a bit, we can find something wonderful and sacred everywhere. It's a gentle reminder to see the magic in ordinary things and to treat our world with deep wonder and respect. Dreaming the land. Australia's ancient ways. Have you ever wondered if places could remember? If the ground beneath your feet held ancient whispers, echoes of time long past? For Australia's first peoples, they believe the land does. Their spiritual system is called a dreaming. It's far more than just what happens when you sleep. It's a deep, living connection to the land, its creation, and everything that lives on it. The dreaming tells how the world was shaped by powerful ancestral beings, These beings moved across the land long ago, singing rivers into being, carving mountains, and naming every animal and plant. As they journeyed, they left behind their spirit and energy. This connects every part of the landscape to how it all began. The land itself is like a living library, holding the laws, the knowledge, and the history of everything. Think of it like this. You have your own family history, right? Stories about your grandparents, photos of old family gatherings, maybe even a special recipe passed down. These things don't just tell you about the past. They shape who you are today, connecting you to generations before you. The dreaming is like that, but on an ancient scale. It connects people to the very breath of the earth for tens of thousands of years. It's not just something from the past, but something that lives on, guiding daily life, ceremonies, and how people care for the environment. So, when an elder speaks of their country, they are not just talking about geography, they are speaking of their spiritual home, their responsibilities, and their identity woven into every rock, every tree, every hall. It's a deep knowing, a quiet wisdom that teaches us what it means to truly belong to a place, to listen to its heartbeat, and to move through the world with respect for all life. Great Spirit, Native American teachings. Have you ever looked at a tree, really looked at it, and felt like it was alive in a way that's more than just roots and leaves? Or watched a river flow and sensed an old wisdom in its moving waters? Many Native American cultures have held a deep belief that everything around us, every rock, every animal, every gust of wind, holds a living spirit. It's a feeling of connection to all things, a shared breath. This isn't about worshipping a single god who sits far away. Instead, it's about the Great Spirit, often called Wakantonka by the Lakota people, or by other names. It's more like an unseen energy, a life force that weaves through everything. Think of it like this. Your body is made of countless cells, each tiny and unique, but together they form you. And you are connected to the air you breathe, the food you eat, the ground you walk on. That vast, universal connection, that knowing that we are all part of one grand, living circle, is what the Great Spirit represents. This ancient wisdom teaches us to live in harmony with the earth, seeing ourselves not as masters of nature, but as its relatives. Every animal, every plant, every human is part of this one great family. So, when you pick up a stone, or watch a bird fly, or even just breathe, you are touching a part of this interconnected web. It means treating the land, the animals, and other people with deep respect, because they are all expressions of this same life force. It's a gentle reminder that we belong here, and we have a part to play in keeping the balance of this incredible, shared existence. We are all threads in the same beautiful fabric. African ancestors, wisdom from the elders. Have you ever wondered about the quiet whispers of the past? The voices of those who walked this earth long before us, shaping the ground we stand on. For many African cultures, the past is not a faraway place, but a living presence, held deeply within the wisdom of their elders and ancestors. Here's the thing, they saw life as a long, unbroken chain, each person a link, connected to those who came before and those who will follow. This spiritual idea is simple but powerful. It teaches that the wisdom of ancestors, the elders who have passed on, continues to guide the living. It's not about ghosts, but about deep respect for shared history and lessons learned over generations. Imagine a giant ancient tree with roots that go down deep, connecting to a hidden network underground. Every leaf, every branch, every new sprout draws life and wisdom from those unseen roots. The older the tree, the deeper its roots, the more it has seen and survived. Think about it like this. When you learn a skill from your grandparent, maybe how to bake a special cookie, or how to fix something around the house, you're tapping into their experience. That knowledge isn't just a recipe, it's a piece of their journey, a bit of their wisdom living on through you. In many African spiritual paths, this idea is expanded to a whole community, a whole nation. The elders, the most experienced living members, are like the wise storytellers, holding the community's memory. And the ancestors, they are the ultimate elders, their lives offering lessons for today. So this belief teaches us to listen closely, not just to the people around us, but to the echoes of time. It encourages us to value the journey of those who came before, knowing that their struggles and triumphs can light our own path. It's a quiet reminder that we are part of something much bigger, a continuous stream of life and knowledge, always moving forward, but always connected to where we began. Zoroaster's fire, light versus darkness in Persia. Have you ever felt that pull inside you? That quiet wrestling match between doing what's right and what's easy, or maybe even a little wrong. Thousands of years ago, in ancient Persia, a wise teacher named Zoroaster spoke of this idea. He taught that the world is a stage for two powerful, opposing forces. One is about light, truth, goodness, and creation called Asha. The other is about darkness, lies, destruction, and all things negative called Druid. It's like the wise lord, Ahura Mazda, on one side, and a destructive spirit, Angra Minyo, on the other. But here's the thing, Zoroastrianism isn't just about these two big forces fighting. It says we choose which side we strengthen with our thoughts, words, and actions. For them, fire was a sacred symbol of purity, truth, and the divine light of Ahura Mazda, always pushing back the shadows. This ancient way of thinking helped people understand life's challenges. It taught that even small acts of goodness add up. Think about a simple choice. Should you help a friend struggling with homework, or just focus on yourself? The light choice helps, builds trust. The dark choice ignores, causes problems later. Every time you pick the kind, honest path, you're fanning the flames of light in your own life and in the world. This powerful idea influenced many later religions, reminding us that our daily choices truly matter. So, the next time you face a choice, big or small, remember Zoroaster's fire. It's a quiet reminder that you hold the power to bring a little more light into the world. One good thought, one kind word, one honest action at a time. It's a message that hope, like a steady flame, never truly goes out. Mithras and mystery, Roman soldiers' secrecy. Imagine a time when the world felt vast and full of unknowns. If you were a Roman soldier, far from home, facing danger every single day, what beliefs would give you strength? For many, it was a spiritual system called Mithraism. This wasn't a religion you talked about openly. It was a mystery, a private group mainly for men, especially soldiers. Followers met in underground temples, cave-like spaces. Here, away from the harsh Roman world, they shared meals and performed quiet rituals, learning hidden lessons about the universe. The most famous image shows Mithras slaying a bull, a powerful, almost sorrowful act. For soldiers, maybe it represented the struggle against chaos, bringing light and order into a world that often felt dark and uncertain. Like their own battles, think about a secret club or a close-knit sports team. They have their own special handshakes, inside jokes, even specific gear. They share something others didn't fully understand, a bond forged through shared experiences and challenges. Mithraism was like that, but far deeper. It created a powerful sense of brotherhood among men who faced life and death together. It offered not just companionship, but also courage, a feeling that they were part of something ancient and powerful, guided by unseen forces through their dangerous lives. Even today, much about Mithras remains a mystery. Many of its deepest teachings are lost to time, like secrets whispered away by the wind. We don't have all the answers, but the quiet ruins of their underground temples still whisper stories across centuries. They remind us of a timeless human need, the search for meaning, for courage, for belonging, especially when life feels uncertain. It shows how people, even tough soldiers, have always sought something sacred to guide them. A quiet inner light when the world feels dark and unknown. Gnosticism, knowing yourself to know God. Have you ever felt a secret part of you, a deep knowing hard to explain, like you understand something about yourself or the world others might miss? That feeling is a little bit like the heart of Gnosticism. This was an ancient way of thinking, growing alongside early Christianity. For Gnostics, real truth wasn't found in strict rules or outside teachings. Instead, they believed it lived inside each person. They taught we all carry a tiny spark of the divine, a piece of God's light, hidden deep within. This world, they felt, wasn't perfect. It was like a confusing maze. We had forgotten our true spiritual home. So, how do you find your way out of the maze? Through gnosis. This isn't just knowing facts, it's a special, inner understanding that comes from truly knowing yourself. Think of solving a tough puzzle. You look at pieces. The real breakthrough happens when something clicks inside your mind. Suddenly, you see how it all fits. That aha moment, that deep insight into your own spirit, that's gnosis. And here's the thing, they believed understanding this inner spark, this true self, helped you understand God better. That spark, after all, was from God. So, their self-discovery was also a journey to the divine. It's like realizing the unique way your mind works, or what truly makes you happy. This inner knowing was their path to ultimate freedom. Even today, this idea reminds us to look inward. It tells us there might be deep wisdom in our own hearts and minds, waiting. It's a quiet invitation to explore who you truly are. And in that exploration, you might just find something sacred. Hermes' wisdom, ancient secrets unlocked. Have you ever wondered if there are hidden truths about the world? Profound secrets whispered through time that could help us understand everything. Long, long ago, wise thinkers explored ideas we now call Hermeticism. This ancient wisdom is tied to a legendary figure named Hermes Trismegistus, a blend of deep Egyptian and Greek knowledge. The most famous idea from this way of thinking is simple, yet incredibly deep. As above, so below. Here's the thing, this isn't about magic spells or complex codes you need to crack. It's about noticing how things work, everywhere. It means the same fundamental rules and patterns that exist in the huge, vast universe often show up in the tiny parts of our own lives, and even inside ourselves. Imagine a grand, sweeping melody played by an orchestra. The very same notes and harmonies, the essence of that melody, can be found in just one instrument playing a small part. Or, think about your own thoughts and feelings. When your mind is clear and calm, focused and peaceful, it often feels like the world around you becomes clearer and calmer too. This calm inside can make your daily experiences smoother, like a still pond perfectly reflecting the sky. But here's the problem. If your thoughts are all jumbled with worry or anger, then everything outside might start to feel that way as well. Even if nothing has actually changed, your inner world can reflect your outer world in powerful ways. This ancient wisdom gently asks us to look closer at everything around us and within us. It encourages us to see the deep connections between the smallest detail and the biggest picture, suggesting that everything is truly linked. It whispers that if we truly understand ourselves, our own unique patterns, our feelings, our strengths, and our challenges, we might begin to understand the wider universe. Because, in a beautiful and meaningful way, we are a part of that universe, reflecting its endless dance within our own unique lives. It's a quiet invitation to find wonder in the mirroring of all things, knowing that a piece of the cosmos lives inside you. The Kabbalah tree. Jewish mystical paths. Have you ever looked at a deep painting, and then suddenly, you see something hidden, something you completely missed before? It's like the world has secret layers, waiting to be understood. For thousands of years, Jewish mystics explored these layers through something called Kabbalah. It's a deep spiritual journey, a way of seeing existence with new eyes. At the heart of Kabbalah is the Tree of Life, or Sephirat. Imagine a map with 10 connected circles. Each circle stands for a different divine quality, like wisdom, understanding, kindness, strength, and beauty. These are seen as the very building blocks of the universe and our own souls. Think of them as different lenses through which the world was created and operates. This ancient path isn't about following strict rules. Instead, it explores connections between these qualities and how they show up in our lives, in nature, and in our feelings. It teaches that the same powerful energies that formed the stars also flow within us. For example, a sudden burst of kindness when helping a friend, or inner strength when standing up for what's right. The Kabbalah tree helps us understand where these come from, and how they connect to something much bigger. It's a bit like learning to play a complex song. Each note is important, but how they connect creates the beautiful melody. The Kabbalah tree maps this inner harmony, showing how different parts of ourselves and the world are linked. This quiet journey invites us to look inward, to see the divine spark within ourselves and in everything. It's a gentle invitation to discover our deepest potential, and to feel connected to the vast, mysterious weave of the universe. It helps us understand our place, not as small parts, but as vital threads in a grand, unfolding story. Sufi whirling, dancing closer to God. Have you ever been so focused on something, like a game or favorite song, that the outside world just faded away? Some people seek that feeling to connect with something vast, something spiritual. The Sufi mystics, part of Islam, found a special path, a moving meditation called whirling. Imagine someone spinning, slowly, then gracefully faster, arms open wide, one hand reaching up, the other pointing down. This isn't just a performance, it's a sacred ceremony, a living prayer called Sema. The Sufis aimed for a pure, direct connection to the divine. This helps quiet minds, letting go of worries, finding deep inner peace. The poet Rumi, long ago, shaped this tradition. Teaching love and unity are vital. Think about a time you were totally absorbed in a creative task, like drawing. You were fully in that moment, just focused. For Sufis, whirling offers similar focus. For spiritual unity, the spinning helps blur the outside world, pushing everyday thoughts away, like finding a calm center within motion, feeling part of a huge universe. This ancient dance shows how people use their whole selves, body, mind, spirit, to reach beyond. It reminds us deep understanding and peace can be found not standing still, but moving with purpose. It's a beautiful way to seek calm, even as life spins, connecting to something immense. Alchemy's goal, turning lead to gold and souls to light. Imagine a time long ago when people dreamed of turning common metal, like dull, heavy lead, into shining, precious gold. But here's the thing about alchemy. It was rarely just about the metal itself. For many who practiced it, this ancient path was a profound journey, a quest for something far deeper than just earthly riches. Alchemy wasn't merely a science of mixing chemicals in a bubbling flask, hoping for a lucky accident. It was also a deep philosophy, a spiritual practice that spanned across cultures, from the mystics of ancient Egypt and Greece to the quiet scholars of medieval Europe and beyond. The alchemists, working diligently in their quiet laboratories, believed that nature held powerful secrets to transformation, and they believed these same powerful secrets applied not just to base metals and noble gold, but profoundly to the human spirit too. The lead wasn't just a metal. It often represented the raw, unrefined parts of us, our struggles, our moments of confusion, even our honest mistakes. And the gold, that was the purified spirit, the higher self, bright, true, and radiant. Think about it like this. When you're learning something new and challenging, say a tough math problem or a complex piece on a musical instrument, at first it feels like lead, heavy, difficult, maybe even a bit messy. You might feel frustrated, unsure, but you keep trying, you break it down, you practice with patience. Slowly, bit by bit, it starts to make sense. It becomes clear, elegant, and even truly beautiful. That's your personal effort turning lead into gold. So, alchemy's true, whispered goal wasn't merely outer wealth. It was about profound inner change. It was about taking what feels heavy or dark within us and, through quiet reflection, diligent hard work, and growing understanding, transforming it into something luminous and truly wise. It's a gentle, quiet reminder that our deepest and most meaningful growth happens when we polish the gold within our own souls, allowing our inner light to truly shine. Knights Templar, faith and secret codes. Have you ever wondered about secrets? Not small ones, but important truths, kept hidden, passed through whispers. Imagine a group of people, centuries ago, who lived and fought with deep faith, and also held on to hidden knowledge. They were called the Knights Templar. They began as protectors. Think of them as very brave, very religious guardians for travelers going to holy lands. More than just soldiers, they took vows like monks, promising poverty and devotion. They were warrior monks, a unique blend of spiritual dedication and fierce strength. Their job was to defend, but their lives were built on unshakable belief. Here's the thing: they grew incredibly powerful and wealthy, almost like an early international bank. With power comes whispers, and with deep devotion, sometimes a need for privacy. They developed systems, like secret codes, to communicate and keep knowledge safe. It wasn't just about protecting money or strategies. It was about safeguarding what they felt was sacred. Think about a time you shared a really important secret with a friend. Maybe it was a special plan or a message only you two understood. You trusted each other completely with that hidden knowledge. For the Knights Templar, their codes were like that, but on a grander scale. They were bound by their faith and the hidden language that connected them, creating a deep sense of brotherhood and purpose. Their story reminds us that faith can be a powerful force, inspiring incredible acts and binding people together. Sometimes, the deepest parts of a belief system are carefully guarded, like precious jewels, meant only for those who truly belong. It shows how deeply people commit to an idea, even keeping some things private, sharing them only within their trusted circle. Belief can create its own hidden language, a bond stronger than any physical chain. The Crusades, holy wars and changing beliefs. Have you ever wondered what happens when faith becomes a fire, burning so brightly it shapes entire lands and lives? The Crusades were a time like that, centuries ago. They were a series of wars, fought, mainly between Christians from Europe and Muslims in the Middle East, all in the name of God. Both sides believed they were fighting for what was right, for holy lands, especially the city of Jerusalem, which is sacred to many faiths. Imagine a time when people's entire lives revolved around their spiritual beliefs. Their churches, mosques, and holy books were not just important, they were the very air they breathed. So, when leaders called upon them to fight for these sacred places, countless people answered. They marched across continents, driven by a deep conviction they were serving a higher purpose, seeking salvation, or protecting what they held most dear. It's a bit like when you feel absolutely certain about something, like how your favorite sports team should play. You believe in it, with all your heart. Right now, imagine millions of people feeling that same intensity, but about their spiritual truth, and being willing to journey far, facing immense dangers because of it. Their spiritual world wasn't separate from their daily life. It was the very framework of it. But here's the thing. Those on the other side felt just as strongly. This clash of powerful, unwavering beliefs led to immense conflict, suffering, and huge shifts in how people saw the world and each other. The Crusades reshaped maps, trade routes, and even how different cultures understood one another. They remind us that while faith can inspire incredible courage and devotion, it also holds the immense power to divide. It's a quiet whisper about humanity's long, complex journey, learning to walk side by side, even when our spiritual paths diverge. The Reformation, when faith split apart. Have you ever wondered what happens when a powerful idea, held by many people for centuries, starts to shift and change? Imagine a vast, ancient river. For a long, long time, it flowed in one deep, wide channel. But then, slowly, new streams began to break away, carving their own paths. This is a little like what happened in Europe hundreds of years ago, a time we call the Reformation. It was when the big, powerful Christian church, which had united most of Europe, began to split apart. For a long time, the Roman Catholic Church was the center of spiritual life. It guided everything, from kings to common people. But whispers of doubt began to rise. Some people felt the church had strayed from its original path, becoming too focused on money or power, not enough on simple faith. One important person was a monk named Martin Luther. He felt deeply that faith should be a personal journey, a direct connection with God, not something you had to buy or earn through rituals. In 1517, he wrote down 95 questions or arguments about things he felt were wrong. It was like someone posting a controversial question on a giant bulletin board for everyone to see. Here's the thing, people were ready to hear these ideas, and with the help of the printing press, Luther's questions spread like dandelion seeds in the wind. Suddenly, everyone could read and discuss them. It was a huge, difficult moment. People had to choose, stick with the old river, or follow a new stream. It wasn't easy. There was a lot of argument and even war. Think of it like a huge tree that has always grown one way, but then new, strong branches start reaching out in different directions, each seeking its own sunlight, though still rooted in the same soil. In the end, this led to new forms of Christianity, like Protestantism, where people practiced their faith in different ways than the Catholic Church. This time showed us how deeply people can feel about their beliefs, and how a simple act of questioning can change the entire world. It wasn't just about religion. It was about freedom of thought, about people daring to question powerful systems and seeking their own truth. It reminds us that even the oldest, most solid structures can be reshaped by deeply held convictions. Renaissance magic. Old ideas, new art. Have you ever looked at something old, like a painting or a building, and felt a quiet, powerful connection to it? A feeling that it holds a secret, a kind of hidden energy? Well, in the time of the Renaissance, many people felt that way about the whole universe. Here's the thing. Magic back then wasn't about waving wands or casting spells, like in stories today. It was a deep belief that everything in the world was connected. Think of it like a giant, beautiful web, where every star, every tree, every person, every color, every sound was linked by invisible threads. People thought the universe was a living, breathing thing, full of unseen forces and sympathies. They believed that if you truly understood these connections, you could work with them, not against them. This idea wasn't new. It came from very old Greek and Roman ways of thinking, which Renaissance scholars were rediscovering. They saw the world as one big organism, where the movements of the planets might affect a flower, or a certain stone might hold a special power. It wasn't science as we know it now, but more like a way of seeing patterns and meanings everywhere. Think about how you feel when you listen to a really powerful song. Maybe it makes you feel sad or hopeful or brave, even though it's just sounds. You can't see the sadness or the hope, but you feel it. That's a bit like how Renaissance thinkers viewed the universe. They felt there were hidden vibes or forces in everything, affecting emotions and destiny. And that's why it matters to art. Artists weren't just painting what they saw. They were trying to capture these hidden connections, these deeper energies. In their paintings and sculptures, they used specific colors or symbols, hoping to create an experience that went beyond what your eyes could see, reaching straight into your soul. So, when you look at a Renaissance masterpiece, remember, it's not just a picture. It's an attempt to show the universe as a place buzzing with secret life, waiting to be felt and understood. Witch trials, fear and faith in Europe. What happens when fear truly takes hold? When fear of the unknown made people see threats everywhere. Centuries ago in Europe, this deep fear led to a heartbreaking period, the witch trials. Life then was often uncertain, crops failed, sickness spread, and strange events defied explanation. People desperately searched for answers, and too often, they found someone to blame. This fed a terrible belief. Certain people secretly worked with dark forces. They were called witches. But the truth is, these trials weren't about actual magic. They were about suspicion and panic, and how easily a community can fall into mass hysteria. Fear became a powerful weapon. If someone was just a little different, or spoke up, or if even a neighbor's animal fell sick, a finger was pointed. Once accused, proving innocence became almost impossible. Many innocent people suffered terribly. Think of a confusing rumor spreading quickly at school. Even if false, if people are scared, they might believe it. And then someone is treated unfairly. That's a small echo of the witch trials. But back then, the stakes were life or death. What does this difficult past teach us? It reminds us how dangerous it is when we let fear dictate our choices. It shows the deep importance of trying to understand, of asking thoughtful questions, and of standing up for what's right, even when panic tries to overwhelm us. It teaches us to look past easy blame and to remember the human spirit in every story. The witch trials are a quiet reminder to choose kindness and clear thinking over blind fear. Always. Scientific revolution. God and the universe. Have you ever wondered what happens when new discoveries challenge old beliefs? Imagine a time, long ago, when people saw the universe as a giant, mysterious stage. They believed God was constantly pulling the strings, making the sun rise, the rain fall, and the stars twinkle, perhaps by direct will each day. The world was a place of constant, unpredictable miracles, shaped moment by divine action, Then came the scientific revolution, a truly exciting time. Think of smart people like Isaac Newton. They didn't just guess, they watched, they measured, they experimented. Newton watched an apple fall and figured out gravity. This wasn't just about apples. It was about understanding how the entire universe worked. It was like discovering the hidden rulebook for the cosmos, showing that natural things happened because of consistent, repeatable laws. So, here's the thing. If the universe followed predictable rules, what did that mean for God? Did God suddenly disappear? Not really. Instead, many people began to see God in a different, grander way. They thought of God not as someone who had to directly push the sun across the sky every morning, but as the ultimate clockmaker. Imagine someone building the most perfect, intricate clock you can imagine. Once it's built, with all its gears and springs, it just keeps ticking, perfectly, following the rules the clockmaker designed. The universe, then, was God's magnificent clock, running smoothly on the laws he created. This idea allowed people to explore and understand the universe's mechanics without feeling like they were questioning God's power. It actually made God seem even more amazing, not just for making things happen, but for designing a whole system that could run itself with such incredible order. So, what happened was, curiosity and faith found a new way to live together. side by side, it invited a deeper sense of wonder, seeing God's wisdom woven into the very fabric of the stars and the dust. The age of reason. Thinking for yourself, have you ever stopped to wonder why you believe certain things? Not just what others told you, but what felt true inside. For a long time in history, most people accepted truths given by powerful leaders, or long-held traditions, but then, a quiet storm began to brew, leading to a period we called the Age of Reason, or the Enlightenment. This wasn't about ditching faith, but about giving your own mind a central role. It was a time when people started to really trust logic, careful observation, and the power of asking why, and how do we know? Instead of just accepting things because that's how it's always been, people began to look for proof, to test ideas, and to think for themselves. Imagine, someone tells you a trick to solve a math problem, but you try it out yourself, step by step. That's a bit like it. You don't just take their word for it. You experiment, you observe, you reason. Great thinkers, from scientists like Isaac Newton exploring gravity, to philosophers like John Locke discussing human rights, used this new way. Here's the thing, this wasn't just for brilliant scientists. This movement quietly changed how everyday people felt about their own ability to understand. It was a brave shift, sometimes a lonely one, to trust your own inner compass, but it showed humanity that the path to understanding isn't always laid out for us. Sometimes, the deepest truths are found when we courageously look within and think for ourselves. It's a gentle reminder that your thoughts, your questions, and your own path to knowledge matter. Deism. God, as the clockmaker. Have you ever looked at the night sky, or watched a flower bloom, and felt a sense of perfect order, like everything just fits? This feeling is at the heart of an idea called deism. It's a way of thinking about God that became popular during a time when people were very interested in science and the universe. So, here's the thing about deism. It imagines God not as someone who constantly interferes with the world, but as a master clockmaker. Think about a really fancy grandfather clock. The clockmaker designs every gear and spring, every part with great precision. They wind it up, sets it going, then steps back. The clock runs perfectly on its own, telling time without needing adjustments. This idea, that God created the universe to run by its own natural laws, became popular during the Enlightenment. People like Voltaire and Thomas Jefferson believed the world followed reason and natural principles, not needing constant divine help. They saw the sun rise, seasons change, planets move. They saw the universe as an incredible, self-sustaining machine. It's a bit like building a very complex Rube Goldberg machine. You plan every step carefully. A marble rolls, hits a domino, tips a lever, popping a balloon. Once it's built and started, you just watch it go. You don't jump in to fix things halfway. It works because you designed it perfectly from the start. So, deism invites us to look at the world with wonder at its original design. It encourages us to explore and understand its natural laws. It's a calm way of seeing the universe, a vast, beautiful creation that runs on its own, waiting for us to discover its principles. Unitarian Universalism. Many paths, one heart. Have you ever wondered if there's one perfect way to understand life's biggest mysteries? Or maybe you've thought about how different people believe different things, yet still want good things for the world. Unitarian Universalism is a spiritual path that asks these very questions. Here's the thing about it. It's not about following one old book or one specific set of rules. Instead, it's a living faith that says truth can be found in many places. In many ways, it's about open minds. This approach grew over time. People started to think that maybe we don't have to agree on everything to be part of the same community. They believed it's good to keep asking questions, to keep learning from science, from nature, from other religions, and from our own deep thoughts. It's like gathering different streams of wisdom into one big, flowing river. Think about a symphony orchestra. You have violins, trumpets, and drums. Each instrument sounds unique. They have different roles and sounds. But when they all play together, guided by the same music, they create something beautiful and powerful. That's a bit like Unitarian Universalism. People come with different beliefs, different life stories, different ideas about what's sacred, but they all share a common wish: to make the world more fair, more kind, and more loving. So, this path teaches us that genuine respect and shared values like justice, compassion, and the search for truth are what truly connect us. It reminds us that even with many paths, we can walk together, building a shared future where everyone feels welcome and valued, united by one common heart. Baha'i faith, one world, one family. Have you ever thought about how many different kinds of people live on our planet? So many languages, so many beliefs, so many ways of life. Sometimes, it can feel like we're all very separate. But what if, underneath it all, we are actually connected, like branches of the same tree? This beautiful, hopeful idea is at the very core of the Baha'i faith. This spiritual path began in the 1800s in a land now called Iran. Its teachings offer a really comforting thought, that there is only one God, and that all the great religions throughout history like Christianity, Islam, Judaism, or Buddhism are like different chapters in the same ongoing story. It's as if God has sent different messengers, like special teachers, at different times, each one bringing the next lesson humanity needed to learn. Think of it like a beautiful garden. You have roses, lilies, daisies, and sunflowers. They are all different, with unique colors and scents, but they all grow from the same earth, watered by the same rain, and warmed by the same sun. Together, they create one glorious, living space. So, the Baha'i faith teaches that all humans truly belong to one family. They believe it's so important to get rid of all kinds of prejudice, no matter if it's about someone's race, their gender, or where they come from. Here's the thing, they also believe that science and religion aren't meant to fight each other. Instead, they are like two powerful wings of a single bird. For that bird to truly fly high and steady, it needs both wings. Working together, one without the other just won't make it. It's about seeing everyone as a valuable part of this big, global community. It means looking past differences and finding the shared human spirit within. The hope here is for a peaceful world, where understanding blooms, and where every single person feels like they have a place, valued and loved, in our one human home. It's a quiet, powerful vision for unity. Mormon's journey, a new American story. Have you ever imagined starting over, creating a whole new way of life, together? That's a little like the story of Mormonism, a unique American spiritual path. It began in the early 1800s, with a young man named Joseph Smith. He sought truth about faith. Here's the thing, he spoke of new scriptures, the Book of Mormon, which shared insights about ancient American peoples and God's plan. This was a fresh vision in a land of new beginnings, but new ideas, especially those challenging old ways, can be hard to accept. The early followers of this faith, known as Mormons or members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, faced many hardships. People often misunderstood them, even treating them badly for their beliefs. So, they began a long, hard journey west, across America. It was like a massive group project, but instead of building a science model, they built a new society, brick by spiritual brick, in a new land. Imagine you and friends start a new club at school. You have a vision, a special way you want it to be, different from others. You might face doubts or teasing, but because you believe in your shared goal, you work together, support each other, and build something meaningful that truly belongs. To you, their journey was like that, a search for a place to live their beliefs freely, a place to belong. It was a story of hope, strength, and the deep human desire to connect with something sacred, to build a shared future. And that's why it matters. It reminds us that faith can be a living adventure, a collective dream moving across time, shaped by courage and community. Seventh-day Adventists, health and hope. Have you ever stopped to think about how your body is connected to your mind, and even your spirit? It's more than just what you eat. For Seventh-day Adventists, living a healthy life is a central part of their spiritual journey. It's not just about avoiding sickness, it's about honoring life itself. This idea began in the 1800s in America. People then were looking for ways to live better, and the Adventists, guided by figures like Ellen G. White, saw a clear message in the Bible. They believed that God wants us to be fully well, physically, mentally, and spiritually. So, they focused on things like eating mostly plants, getting enough rest, staying active, and avoiding things that harm the body, like alcohol or tobacco. This connected daily habits directly to spiritual closeness and a deeper peace. Think of your body like a garden. If you want beautiful flowers and strong plants, you need good soil, sunshine, and just the right amount of water. You wouldn't throw trash into a garden you cherish, right? In the same way, Adventists believe that by choosing pure foods and healthy habits, you're creating the best possible environment for your entire self to thrive. It's about building strength and clarity for a whole lifetime. So, this path isn't just about following rules. It's about understanding that every choice we make, from what we eat to how we spend our time, shapes who we become. When we care for our bodies with intention, we might find ourselves more open to kindness, clearer in our thoughts, and more connected to the world. It's a quiet promise that looking after our physical selves can help us find a deeper sense of hope and purpose, making us ready for whatever comes next. Jehovah's Witnesses, a message for everyone. Have you ever thought about what makes a group of people want to share their beliefs with the whole world? Imagine holding a message you truly felt was important, something that could help everyone. That's a bit like the spirit behind Jehovah's Witnesses. At their heart, they believe in God's kingdom, which they see as a real government in heaven that will bring peace and justice to earth. They look forward to a time when there will be no more sickness, war, or sadness, turning our planet into a paradise. Their understanding comes from a deep study of the Bible, which they believe is God's direct message to humanity. This group began in the late 1800s. Their name, Jehovah's Witnesses, means they tell others about God, whose name they believe is Jehovah, and what he plans. They feel a strong responsibility to share this hopeful message, believing it's meant for anyone who wants to listen, no matter where they live. Think about how a scientist discovers something amazing, like a new way to help people stay healthy. They wouldn't keep it a secret. They'd want to tell everyone, believing this discovery could truly benefit others. In a similar way, Jehovah's Witnesses see the Bible's message as vital for life, and they are driven to share it widely. They go door to door, stand with carts, and use technology to reach people with what they feel is a life-changing truth. It's a powerful idea, a message for everyone, offering comfort and hope. It reminds us that many people share a longing for peace and a better world. Their work is a quiet, persistent effort to connect with that longing in us all. Christian Science, healing through belief. Have you ever wondered if our thoughts hold a power we don't always see? Like if believing something deeply enough could actually change how we feel, even physically. This is a core idea in Christian Science, a path that looks at healing in a very unique way. It began in the late 1800s with Mary Baker Eddy. She felt that sickness and suffering weren't God's plan. For her, true healing wasn't just medicine, but understanding a deeper spiritual truth. Christian Science teaches that God is entirely good, and all of God's creation is perfect. So, if God is perfect, and we are made in God's image, then sickness and pain aren't truly real. They are like a misunderstanding, a belief that isn't true. It's a bit like this. Imagine you're watching a movie, and something scary happens. Your heart pounds, your palms sweat. For a moment, it feels totally real. But then, you remember you're just sitting on your couch, watching a screen. The fear was real to your body, but it wasn't the true reality of your situation. Christian Science suggests that when we truly grasp the spiritual truth of God's perfect nature, and our perfect place within it, the false beliefs that cause sickness can fade away. The healing comes not from changing the body, but from changing our thought, our spiritual understanding. It's about seeing beyond what our eyes tell us, to a deeper truth about ourselves and the universe. It asks us to consider if peace of mind and a strong, unwavering spiritual connection could be powerful forces for well-being. It's a gentle whisper, inviting us to explore the profound idea that our inner belief might hold the key to a quiet, powerful healing. Spiritualism. Talking to the other side. Have you ever wondered what happens after we leave this world? Or maybe, after someone you love has gone, you've wished you could just talk to them one more time. Here's the thing. For hundreds of years, and especially in the 1800s, many people believed they could do exactly that. This belief is called spiritualism. Spiritualism isn't about gods or huge temples. Instead, it's about a very personal connection. People practicing spiritualism believed that the spirits of those who had passed away could still communicate with the living. Think of it like a whisper across a great distance, or a message sent from beyond what we can usually see or hear. They would gather, often in quiet rooms, and try to reach out. Sometimes it was through a medium, someone thought to have a special, the ability to hear or even see spirits. Other times, it was through strange knocks, moving objects, or even voices that seemed to come from nowhere. Imagine you've sent a letter to a friend, but they've moved away and you're not sure if it ever arrived. You just hope for a reply, a sign that they got your message and are doing okay. Spiritualism was like that, but with a much deeper, more important message. People were looking for comfort, for proof that their loved ones were still somewhere, and that death wasn't the absolute end. They wanted to know if their grandma was okay, if their soldier brother was at peace. It was a way to try and bridge the huge, silent gap that death creates. It reminds me of how sometimes, when you miss someone, you might find an old photo or hear a song, and for a moment, it feels like they're right there with you. You feel their presence. Spiritualism was trying to make that feeling real, trying to make it a two-way conversation. It was born from a deep human need to not be completely separated from those we cherish. The idea wasn't just about curiosity, it was about healing, a broken heart, finding peace in a world that felt too empty after loss. And that's why it matters. It shows us how much we long for connection, even across the greatest unknown. Theosophy's search. Wisdom of the ages. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, feeling small yet connected, and wondered about the deepest secrets of our universe? What if there was a hidden wisdom, woven through time and cultures, that could help us understand not just the stars, but ourselves and each other? This quiet search is what theosophy is all about. The word theosophy comes from ancient Greek, meaning divine wisdom. It's not a new religion, but more like a journey of discovery. Imagine curious people in the late 1800s, like Helena Blavatsky, looking across the world at different spiritual paths, the ancient myths of Egypt, the peaceful teachings of Buddhism in the East, the deep philosophies of India, and even old mystical ideas from the West. They noticed something amazing. Under all the different stories and rituals, there seemed to be similar whispers of truth. They believed there was a single, pure wisdom, a profound understanding, that lay at the heart of all these diverse traditions. Their goal was to uncover these universal truths that connect every human being, no matter where they live or what stories shape their childhoods. Think of it this way. Imagine you're solving a huge jigsaw puzzle. Each religion, each ancient philosophy, each spiritual belief is like a single, uniquely shaped piece. They all look different on their own, right? But here's the thing. Theosophy is like trying to see the entire picture on the puzzle box, knowing that every single piece, no matter how different, is essential to forming that one complete, beautiful image. It's about finding the underlying design that holds everything together, recognizing that the wisdom of one culture might echo the wisdom of another. Far away, that's so. Theosophy invites us to slow down, to listen with our hearts, and to look beyond what first meets the eye. It's a gentle whisper that perhaps the deepest answers aren't found in just one place, but in the shared journey of humanity, seeking light and understanding in the vast, mysterious tapestry of existence. It leaves us with a feeling of wonder, connecting us to something ancient and ever-present. Anthroposophy, understanding humans, spiritually. Have you ever quietly wondered about the deeper parts of yourself? Not just your body, or the thoughts buzzing in your mind, but something else. Something that feels like your true self, your spirit. This is a question anthroposophy gently invites us to explore. Anthroposophy is a way of understanding humans that believes we are deeply connected to a spiritual world. It teaches that we are more than just our physical bodies and our thinking minds. We also have a spirit, a part of us that isn't seen but is very real and important. It's about knowing ourselves, but in a spiritual way. Seeing how our inner life connects to everything around us. A thinker named Rudolf Steiner began sharing these ideas in the early 1900s. He felt that we could train ourselves to sense and understand this spiritual dimension. It wasn't about blind faith, but about using our inner awareness, almost like a scientist uses tools to observe, but for our inner world. He believed we could understand the spirit through careful self-reflection and a keen eye for the world's hidden patterns. Here's the thing. Think about when you listen to a really beautiful piece of music. You hear the notes, sure, but you also feel something, right? Maybe a sense of peace, or wonder, or even sadness. That feeling isn't just in your ears, it lives deep inside you. Anthroposophy suggests that feeling, that deep connection, comes from the spiritual part of us responding to the beauty of the world. It's like a quiet echo of our spirit. So, this idea asks us to consider that there's a quiet, deep part of us that holds wonder and connects us to something larger. It's a call to look beyond what we can touch and see, to feel the silent, rich life within ourselves and in the world around us. Rosicrucian secrets. Hidden wisdom revealed. Have you ever wondered if there are secrets in the world? Not secret codes or hidden treasure maps, but deeper truths about life, waiting to be found. For centuries, a group of thinkers called the Rosicrucians believed in a special kind of wisdom, often kept quiet, revealed only to those who truly sought it. Imagine them, not as a club with secret handshakes, but more like a quiet group of explorers. They appeared in Europe hundreds of years ago, in the 1600s, a time of great change. And here's the thing, they didn't think the most important knowledge was locked away in dusty old books or preached in grand churches. Instead, they felt the biggest secrets of the universe were actually hidden inside each of us. They believed in inner wisdom, a deep understanding that comes not from memorizing facts, but from looking inward, from truly understanding your own self. It's like finding a quiet light within you, a light that guides your path. They were curious about everything, nature's patterns, the stars, and the human mind. They believed that science and spirituality weren't separate, but two paths leading to the same great truth. Think about how you learn to play a musical instrument, like a guitar. You can read all the instructions, look at all the chords, but the real secret to making the music truly sing comes from practice, from listening, from a feeling inside you that grows with every note. It's not something someone can simply tell you. It's something you have to discover for yourself. That's a bit like their journey to find wisdom. So, the Rosicrucian secrets weren't about magic spells. Instead, they were about a quiet, powerful idea that wisdom isn't given, it's grown. It's about a personal quest to understand the world by first understanding your own heart and mind. Maybe the greatest mysteries aren't out there, in dusty old texts or far-off places, but here, in the quiet space of our own thoughts, waiting for us to explore them. Wicca's circle, nature's magic, returns. Have you ever stood in a quiet forest, feeling the sunlight filter through the leaves, and just felt right? Or maybe you've looked up at the full moon, huge and bright, and felt a sense of wonder, like it held a secret. What if that feeling, that deep connection to the earth and its rhythms, was a kind of spiritual path? Here's the thing about Wicca. It's a spiritual system that truly embraces nature. It's relatively modern, really, only becoming known in the mid-20th century. But it gathers wisdom from ancient pre-Christian beliefs, from times when people lived much closer to the land. Wicca honors the natural world as sacred. Think about the seasons changing, the moon going from new to full and back again, or the sun rising and setting every day. Wiccans see these as powerful, beautiful cycles, and they find a kind of divinity in them. It's like finding a lost song that helps you remember where you came from, how you're connected to the very ground you walk on. This path often sees the divine in both masculine and feminine forms, celebrating balance and harmony, just like nature itself strives for balance. Consider how a simple seed grows into a magnificent plant. It pulls energy from the sun, water from the earth, and transforms it into something new and living. It's not just about what we see. It's about the hidden power, the quiet magic, of life unfolding. Wicca looks at the world like that seed, seeing deep, interconnected energy everywhere. It suggests that if we pay close enough attention, we can feel that energy. So, this path isn't about grand, towering buildings or ancient texts passed down for thousands of years. Instead, it's about recognizing that the earth is alive, and we are part of its living, breathing story. It's about finding reverence in a quiet forest, in the rush of a river, or even in the simple act of a seed sprouting. It teaches us that true wisdom can be found in the turning of the seasons, reminding us that we are woven into something vast and timeless, a sacred circle of existence where every part truly matters. Pagan revival, connecting to ancient earth. Have you ever walked deep into a forest, or stood by the ocean, and felt something truly ancient, something peaceful and wise all around you? That quiet feeling, like the earth itself is speaking to your heart, is what pagan revival tries to reconnect with. Here's the thing, for a long time, people lived much closer to nature. They saw the sun, moon, trees, and rivers as powerful, living parts of a sacred world. These beliefs weren't one big religion. Instead, there were many different ways of understanding life, all connected by a deep respect for the earth's cycles. Think of the turning seasons, the planting of seeds, and the gathering of harvests. People honored these natural rhythms, seeing divine wisdom in every sunrise and every falling leaf. But here's what happened. As societies changed and got more complicated, and new, bigger religions grew, some of those older ways faded. People started to feel separated from the natural world. So, pagan revival is like a remembering. It's about people today looking back to those ancient paths. They want to find that sense of connection again, that feeling of being part of something bigger than just human life. It's a lot like when you spend time in your favorite outdoor spot, maybe a quiet park, a hiking trail, or even just your backyard garden. You feel more grounded, calmer. That's a natural, human connection to the earth's energy. Pagan revival is about intentionally honoring that connection, seeing the world not just as dirt and rocks, but as a living, breathing being that we share life with, and that's why it matters. Connecting to the ancient earth can bring a sense of belonging. It reminds us that we are part of a vast, beautiful story that has been unfolding for ages, and we can find our quiet strength right here, rooted in the world around us. Zen mind, sitting still, finding truth. Have you ever felt your mind is just too busy? So many thoughts, so much noise, it's hard to hear yourself. For thousands of years, people found a way to quiet that inner storm, to find deep calm. This path is called Zen. At its heart, Zen is profoundly simple. Sitting still, it began long ago, as part of Buddhist teachings. It traveled from ancient India to China, then found a special home in Japan. Here's the thing, while Zen has religious roots, it's also a practical way of life. It's not about believing in gods. It's about experiencing truth directly, right here, right now. Zen emphasizes direct experience. So, what does sitting still mean in Zen? It's called zazen, or seated meditation. You're not trying to stop thinking. Instead, you just sit, pay attention to your breath, and gently notice thoughts or feelings that come up. You don't grab onto them or push them away. It's like watching clouds drift across the sky. You see them, but you don't chase. Think of a cloudy pond after rain. All the dirt is stirred up, making the water unclear. If you just leave that pond still, what happens? Slowly, the mud settles. The water becomes clear, revealing what was always there. Your mind can be like that pond. When you practice Zazen, you give your mind a chance to settle, to clear. This helps you see things as they truly are, without distractions. This simple act of quiet attention, even for a few minutes each day, can transform how you experience your world. It helps you feel more grounded, more present, and less overwhelmed. It teaches you to truly listen to yourself, to others, to quiet wisdom. In that stillness, a deep truth can emerge, showing you who you are and helping you connect more deeply with the amazing world around you. It's a journey, not outward, but inward, leading to profound peace and understanding. Yoga's path, body, breath, and spirit. Have you ever felt like your thoughts were buzzing everywhere, or your body just felt stiff? Sometimes, it's hard to feel truly connected to yourself. Here's the thing, for thousands of years, people have explored something called yoga. It's not just about stretches or fancy poses. Yoga is a journey, a way to gently bring together your body, your breath, and your spirit. Imagine people in ancient India, long ago, observing how stillness calmed the mind, and how moving with intention made the body stronger. Yoga grew from these deep observations. It's a system built on the idea that when your body feels good, and your breath is steady, your mind can find peace. It's about finding harmony inside yourself, like tuning a musical instrument to play a beautiful note. Think about focusing on a tricky video game. Your shoulders might tense up, or your breath gets shallow. But if you pause, take a deep breath, and relax, you often play better, right? Yoga helps you learn to do that for your whole life. It teaches you to notice these small reactions in your body and breath. It's like being the calm pilot of your own airplane, even through turbulence. This can help you feel more grounded, less stressed, and more aware. So, yoga is more than just poses. It's a quiet whisper from ancient times, inviting us to listen to ourselves. It's a gentle way to explore the calm strength within, to connect to the rhythm of our own breath, and to find a deep, peaceful feeling. It's about remembering that all parts of you belong together in a beautiful, calm dance. Meditation's gift. Quiet your mind. Have you ever felt like your brain is just too full, like 1,000 thoughts zooming around, making it hard to focus or relax? Sometimes, our minds feel like a really busy highway, full of cars honking and rushing by. For thousands of years, people across cultures found a way to slow down that mental traffic. It's called meditation, but it's not about emptying your mind. Here's the thing, it's more like learning to gently quiet the noisy parts so you can hear the calmer ones. Imagine a garden overgrown with weeds. Meditation is like tending. It's slowly clearing space so your true thoughts and feelings can bloom. Think about how many tabs you have open on a computer. Each one pulls your attention, slowing things down. Our minds can be like that. Meditation is like closing those extra tabs, one by one, until you're focused on what's important now. It helps you notice your breath, or sounds around you, instead of getting swept away by worries about yesterday or tomorrow. Long ago, thinkers in places like India and China realized inner calm was essential. They practiced meditation to understand themselves better, feel more connected, and find deep peace inside. It wasn't about escaping life, but about facing it with a clearer, more open heart. This practice isn't a magical fix, but it's a powerful tool. It helps you build a quiet space within yourself, an inner sanctuary you can visit any time. And that's why it matters. Because even when the world outside gets loud and overwhelming, you'll know how to find your way back to that calm center, where true peace waits. Mindfulness, living in the now. Have you ever felt like your mind is a buzzing hive, full of thoughts about yesterday or worries about tomorrow? It's easy for our minds to wander, replaying the past or jumping ahead. But what if you could quiet that buzz and truly be where you are right now? This is the heart of mindfulness. It's not a complicated trick. Here's how it works. It's simply paying attention on purpose to the present moment without judging it. Think of it like shining a gentle spotlight on what's happening inside you and around you right now. This ancient idea isn't new. It has roots in many old wisdom traditions, like Buddhism, which taught about being present for thousands of years. They understood that our minds often race, and that true peace comes from slowing down and noticing. So, here's an example. Imagine you're walking home from school. Usually, your mind might be planning dinner or replaying a conversation. But what if, for just a minute, you tried something different? Notice the feel of your feet on the pavement, the sound of the birds, the smell of rain, or the way the light hits a tree. You're not trying to change anything, just observing. It's like becoming an explorer of your own ordinary moment. You might realize things you never noticed before, and that discovery can feel pretty amazing. This simple act, this intentional noticing, can change how you experience the world. It's not about ignoring problems. Instead, it's about acknowledging what is, with a calm awareness. When you practice living in the now, you can find stillness, a quiet strength within yourself, no matter what's going on around you. And that's why it matters. It helps you connect more deeply with your own life, one moment at a time. Humanism, good without gods. Have you ever wondered if we can build a world that is kind and fair, just because we choose to, and not because someone is watching us from above? This question sits at the heart of an idea called humanism. It's not a religion, but a way of looking at life that centers on people. Humanism says we can find meaning, purpose, and goodness right here on Earth, using our own minds and hearts. It's about believing in the power of humans to solve problems, to create beauty, and to treat each other well, simply because it's the right thing to do. For a long time in history, many societies believed that good behavior came from gods or divine rules. But then, thinkers began to focus on the amazing things humans could achieve. During times like the Renaissance, people started celebrating human creativity, science, and the power of individual thought. This shift slowly led to the idea that our capacity for reason, compassion, and kindness comes from within us, not from an outside source. It's a quiet idea, but a very strong one. It suggests that our shared humanity is what connects us, and that our best qualities are our own to develop. Here's an example. Think about a time your class worked together on a project that helped someone. Maybe you raised money for a local charity, or you spent an afternoon cleaning up a park. You did it because you saw a need, and you felt a pull to make things better for people in your town. Right. You didn't do it for a reward from a god. You did it because you cared. That feeling, that drive to help others just because it makes life better for everyone. That's what humanism focuses on. It's about seeing the value in every single person and wanting them to thrive. So, humanism invites us to look inward and around us. It's about taking responsibility for our world, understanding our shared human experience, and trying our best to create a fair and compassionate society. based on what we know and what we feel. It's a hopeful way to think about our place in the world, believing that we have the wisdom and kindness within us to make a truly good life together. Existentialism, choosing your own meaning. Have you ever looked at your life, or maybe the world around you, and wondered, what's the point of all this? Or perhaps, is there a grand plan I'm supposed to follow? It's a big question, and for a long time, people found answers in ancient stories, in religious beliefs, or in traditions passed down. But what if there isn't one single pre-written answer for everyone? Here's the thing. A powerful idea called existentialism grew from this very question. It's not really a set of rules, but more a way of seeing our existence. It suggests that, unlike a tool, which is made for a specific purpose, humans don't arrive with a built-in meaning. We're just here, existing, first. And because we're here, we are incredibly, sometimes terrifyingly, free. Free to choose who we become. Free to decide what our life means. This way of thinking became really important, especially after big, confusing times in history, when old certainties faded. People started looking not to old books or outside rules, but deep within themselves for meaning. Think of it like this. Imagine you're given a completely blank canvas and a set of paints. No one tells you what to draw. No one gives you a picture to copy. You just have the canvas, the paints, and your own imagination. The colors you choose, the lines you draw, the image you create, that's entirely up to you. And that painting becomes your meaning, your expression. It's similar with our lives. Every choice you make, big or small, what you study, how you treat others, what you believe in, what you value, these are all brushstrokes on your canvas. It means you're not just following a script, you're writing your own. Every single day, with every choice you make, it's a huge responsibility, yes, but it's also the most powerful kind of freedom. Your life isn't just something that happens to you, it's something you actively create. Stoic strength, finding peace in hard times. Have you ever faced a really tough day? Maybe a test didn't go well, or a friend said something hurtful. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when things get hard. But what if there was a way to find a quiet strength inside you, no matter what's happening outside? This idea isn't new. Thousands of years ago, in ancient Greece and Rome, thinkers called Stoics explored this very question. They weren't trying to ignore pain or pretend bad things didn't happen. Instead, they taught that true peace comes from understanding what we can control and what we cannot. You can't control the weather or what someone else thinks, or if you get sick. But here's the thing, you can always control your own thoughts, your reactions, and your effort. Think about it like this. Imagine you're playing a video game, and the internet connection suddenly lags. You can yell at the screen, get super frustrated, and even quit the game. Or, you can accept that the lag is happening, take a deep breath, and focus on what you can still do. Maybe try a different strategy, or just wait patiently for it to clear up. The lag is outside your control, but your reaction to it, that's all you. Stoicism is about choosing that second path. Even when life throws something much bigger than lag at you, it's about realizing that while life will always have challenges, your inner peace doesn't have to be shaken by them. You can stand firm like a tree in the wind. The wind blows hard, but the tree roots itself deeper. This can help you find calm, even when the world feels messy. It teaches us to build a quiet strength inside, a place where peace can always be found, no matter the storm. Epicurus Garden, joy in simple pleasures. Have you ever wondered what real happiness feels like? Is it a loud party, or winning a big prize? Or could it be something quieter, deeper? Thousands of years ago, in ancient Greece, a thinker named Epicurus asked these very questions. He gathered students in a place he called the garden. It wasn't a fancy school, but a peaceful spot where they could live, talk, and learn together. Epicurus believed that true happiness wasn't about seeking wild pleasures or gathering lots of stuff. In fact, he thought chasing too much could lead to pain later. Instead, his path to joy was about finding a state of calm, a gentle absence of trouble. He wanted people to live without fear and without physical pain. For him, the highest pleasure was ataraxia, a deep inner peace, a stillness of the soul. Think about it this way. When you're super hungry, the most delicious thing might not be a huge, complicated meal, but a warm, simple piece of bread. That first bite, the basic satisfaction, can bring a surprising amount of joy. Or imagine spending a quiet afternoon with your best friends, just talking, laughing softly, with no big plans or worries. That feeling of comfort, connection, and calm, that's closer to what Epicurus had in mind. It's the simple joy of belonging, of being content with what is. So maybe happiness isn't always a grand adventure. Sometimes it's found in the gentle hum of everyday life, a good book, a kind word from a friend, or the quiet beauty of a sunset. It's about knowing how to find richness in the small, honest moments, and choosing peace over endless wanting. Taoist immortals, seeking everlasting life. Have you ever looked at an ancient tree, its branches reaching for the sky, and wondered what it would be like to live for hundreds, even thousands, of years? To witness seasons turn into centuries, and watch the world slowly change. For people in ancient China, this wasn't just a daydream, it was a deep, spiritual quest. They were called Taoists, and their ultimate dream was to become an immortal. But what does immortal really mean in this sense? It wasn't just about never dying, like a superhero. It was about something much deeper, achieving a perfect harmony with the Tao, the invisible force that guides all of existence. Imagine finding a balance so profound within yourself and with nature that your body and spirit become light, free, almost like clouds or mist. You'd transcend the normal limits of life. It's a bit like when you find a rhythm in something you love, maybe running, playing music, or even just building with blocks, where time seems to disappear, and you feel completely connected to what you're doing. You're not just existing, you're flowing with life itself. Taoists believed that by living simply, eating special foods, practicing breathing exercises, and meditating deeply, they could refine their inner energy. They saw the human body not just as flesh and bone, but as a mini-universe full of flowing energies. If you kept those energies balanced and pure, like a clear mountain spring, then perhaps you wouldn't wither away. You'd become timeless, almost a part of the landscape, like a smooth river stone that has been shaped by ages of flowing water, but never truly breaks. So, the quest for immortality wasn't about escaping life, but about embracing it so fully that you became one with its endless cycles. It reminds us that maybe true everlasting life isn't about living forever in our bodies, but about finding a way to connect with something much larger than ourselves, something truly eternal that echoes through all things. And that feeling of connection, of being part of something vast and ancient, can feel like a kind of timelessness right here, right now. Bushido Code, the way of the samurai. Have you ever thought about what it truly means to live with purpose, to act with a quiet strength that comes from deep within? Imagine a world where your character was your shield, and your choices echoed through time. In ancient Japan, the noble samurai followed a path, a set of principles known as Bushido, the way of the warrior. Here's the thing, it wasn't just about fighting with a sword, it was a deeply personal guide for every moment of their lives. This code taught them to live with unwavering honor, courage, compassion, respect, honesty, and loyalty. For these warriors, their very existence was shaped by these powerful ideas. Samurai believed that every choice, every action, reflected their inner spirit, their very soul. They weren't just strong in battle, they strived to be strong in their hearts, their minds, and their moral compass. Their commitment to these virtues was like a steady heartbeat, a constant rhythm guiding them through peace and war, joy and sorrow. It was about finding a delicate balance, knowing when to be fierce and when to be gentle, always acting with quiet, powerful sincerity. Think about it this way, when you make a promise to a friend, or commit to a group project at school, sometimes it might be easier to let things slide, or not fully follow through. But choosing to do your part, to contribute honestly, and to be truly reliable, even when it feels difficult, that's a small, modern echo of Bushido. This can help you build lasting trust with your friends and family, just like a samurai built a reputation for integrity within their community. It's a bit like building a strong, invisible bridge of reliability between yourself and others. So, the way of the samurai gently reminds us that true strength isn't only about what we can see, like physical power or grand achievements. It's also about the invisible armor of our character, the quiet resilience forged by our daily choices. It's about living with intention, aligning our actions with our deepest, truest values, even when no one else is watching. And that's why it matters, because choosing to live with honor and courage is a journey we can all walk, every single day, leading to a life that feels deeply meaningful and truly our own. Shugindo mountain monks of Japan Have you ever stood in a vast forest, silent and still, and felt something truly ancient stir within you, a connection to the very earth? For centuries in Japan, people have sought that profound feeling, and much more, deep within the rugged mountains. This is where Shugen-do comes alive, a powerful spiritual path. It's walked by monks and ascetics, people dedicated to the belief that true spiritual power and deep wisdom can be found by training intensely in wild, untamed nature. Imagine these individuals, known as Yamabushi, a name that means those who prostrate themselves in the mountains. They aren't just going for a hike, they're undertaking grueling, sacred journeys. They climb treacherous peaks, meditate under freezing waterfalls, and fast for days on end. It's a way of facing nature at its most raw, feeling every whisper of the wind, every drop of rain, every biting cold moment. Through this endurance, they seek to find their own deep inner strength. They don't just see the mountains as big rocks and trees. To them, these peaks are living, breathing deities, full of ancient wisdom and spiritual energy. Through their challenging practices, they aim to merge with the mountain's spirit, to purify themselves completely, and to gain profound, life-changing insights. Think about a time you pushed yourself really hard, maybe training for a sport, or working through a tough problem in school that seemed impossible at first. Remember that feeling when you finally broke through, when you realized you were stronger, more capable than you ever thought possible. The Yamabushi feel something like that, but on a much deeper, spiritual level. They believe that facing the harshness of the mountain environment strips away everything unnecessary, leaving only their true, essential self. So, it's not just about enduring pain, but about transformation. It's about listening to the earth's ancient heartbeat, finding a quiet stillness within the wildness, and understanding that our deepest wisdom often waits for us in the most challenging, most beautiful places. It's a quiet whisper, telling us that true growth comes from embracing the wildness, both outside in nature and deep within our own hearts. Santeria, African roots, Caribbean rhythms. Have you ever thought about how old stories and ways of seeing the world can travel across oceans, even when people are forced to leave everything behind? Here's the thing, sometimes the most beautiful and strong traditions are born from struggle. And that's exactly what happened with Santeria. Imagine a time when people were stolen from their homes in West Africa and brought to new, unfamiliar lands in the Caribbean, especially Cuba. They carried their spiritual beliefs in their hearts, beliefs about connecting with nature and powerful spirits. But in these new places, their traditions were forbidden. So, what happened? To keep their faith alive, they found a clever and deeply meaningful way to hide it in plain sight. They saw similarities between their African spirits, called Orishas, and the Catholic saints they were taught about. So, they would outwardly worship a Catholic saint, but inside, they were praying to their Orisha. It was like speaking a secret language of the soul. Each Orisha is connected to something in nature, like a rushing river, a strong thunder, or the gentle ocean. They're not just figures, they're seen as forces that shape life and guide us. Think about how a river always finds its way around obstacles, carving new paths but never forgetting its source. That's a little like it adapted, blended, and flowed, but its deep African roots were never truly lost. It continued to provide comfort and a sense of identity for people facing incredibly tough times. This spiritual system teaches us that even when life forces us into new, scary places, we can still hold on to what's true in our hearts. It's a testament to human spirit, how belief can transform and endure, creating something new and vibrant while honoring a sacred past. And that's why it matters. It reminds us of the strength that comes from remembering where we came from, even when the journey is long and hard. Vedu, spirits of Haiti and beyond. Have you ever felt like everything is connected? The wind, the trees, the people around you, even the past. For many in Haiti and beyond, Vedu offers a way to understand this deep connection. It's a spiritual system, not a religion in the way some might think of churches or strict rules, but more like a living, breathing map of the universe. At its heart, Vedu is about honoring the Elwa, pronounced Lua, or spirits. These aren't like angels or devils. They are powerful forces that guide the natural world and human life. Think of them as different energies or aspects of one huge, amazing consciousness. Some Elwa are like old ancestors, wise and gentle. Others are wild like a stormy ocean, full of passion and change. Vaidu was born from the strength and resilience of enslaved people brought to Haiti from West Africa centuries ago. They brought their beliefs, their understanding of the spirits, and their ways of connecting with the unseen world. In a place where they were cruelly separated from their homes and families, Vaidu became a secret language of hope, a way to remember who they were and to find power. It helped them resist, and it helped them survive. Here's the thing, you can think of the elva like the different parts of a grand orchestra. Each instrument, the drums, the flutes, the strings, has its own sound and energy, but together they create a beautiful, complex song. In Vaidu, people connect with different elwa, asking for guidance or help, just like a musician might choose which instrument to play for a certain feeling. It's about building relationships with these spiritual forces, listening to their wisdom, and finding balance. So Vaidu isn't just about rituals. It's about a way of seeing the world. It's about understanding that everything is alive, and that we are always connected to something larger than ourselves, to the spirits of the past, the present, and the future. It teaches a deep respect for nature and for the unseen forces that shape our lives, and that's a beautiful thought, isn't it? Rastafari, a lion's roar for freedom. Have you ever felt like you needed to find your own strong voice, especially when things around you felt unfair or out of balance? This feeling, a deep longing for justice and dignity, is at the very heart of Rastafari. It's not just a religion, it's a whole way of seeing the world, a way of life that teaches people to stand tall, even when they're told to be small. This system of belief began in Jamaica in the 1930s. It was a time when many people of African descent felt like they had lost their connection to their heritage and true identity. They saw Africa, particularly Ethiopia, as their ancient homeland and a source of incredible strength. So, here's what happened. A powerful idea took root. Rastafari teaches that Emperor Haile Selassie I of Ethiopia was a divine leader, a symbol of hope and freedom for all black people. This wasn't about worshipping a person, but recognizing him as a king, a symbol of God's presence on earth. It was about finding royalty and worth within themselves, rejecting systems that told them they were less. Don't think about a small seed planted in hard ground. It might seem impossible for it to grow, but with enough sunlight and a little water, that tiny seed pushes up, bravely breaking through the soil, reaching for the sky. That's like the spirit of Rastafari. It's about finding that inner strength, that lion's roar, to push through challenges and proudly declare your true self. It's about living in harmony with nature, caring for your body as a temple, and speaking truth with courage. So, at its core, Rastafari is a call for freedom, not just freedom from chains, but freedom of the mind. It teaches that true power comes from within, from knowing who you are and standing up for what is right, always seeking peace and understanding. It reminds us that every person holds a piece of something sacred, a quiet dignity that shines, no matter what. Sikhism, equality, and courage in faith. Have you ever wondered what it truly means to treat everyone the same, no matter what they look like or where they come from? To really see past differences and find a shared humanity. Sikhism, a spiritual path that began in ancient India, offers a powerful answer to this question. Here's the thing, Sikhism teaches that there is one creator, and all people are equal in the eyes of that creator. The founder, Guru Nanak, taught about a world where everyone could sit together, eat together, and worship together, breaking down old ideas about social class or privilege. It was a radical idea for its time, a belief that true faith meant seeing everyone as a brother or sister, worthy of respect and love. But this faith isn't just about peaceful equality, it's also about courage. When early Sikhs faced threats and injustice, their leaders, the gurus, taught them to stand up for what was right, not just for themselves, but for anyone who was oppressed. This isn't about seeking fights, but about having the inner strength to protect others and defend justice, even when it's hard. Think about being on a sports team where everyone, from the fastest runner to the quietest player, is equally important and celebrated. And when a teammate is unfairly treated, the whole team stands up for them. That's a bit like the spirit of Sikhism, a deep sense of community and a brave heart for justice. So, this spiritual system reminds us that the most profound strength isn't just physical, it's the quiet power to treat every single person with dignity. It's the courage to speak up when you see something wrong, and the gentle understanding that beneath our differences, we are all connected. It's a faith that calls us to live with both a kind heart and a brave spirit, always. Gurdjieff's work, waking up to yourself. Have you ever just gone through your day on autopilot? Waking up, eating breakfast, going to school, and then realizing it all feels a bit fuzzy, like a dream. A spiritual teacher named George Gurdjieff, in the early 1900s, suggested that most of us live a lot of our lives that way. He called it waking sleep. Gurdjieff believed we weren't truly awake, even when our eyes were open. He thought we were often lost in thoughts, feelings, or old habits, not really present in the moment. His whole teaching, which he called the work, was about helping people wake up. It wasn't about a new religion or strict rules. It was about discovering your own inner world, paying attention to what's happening inside you, right now. He traveled widely, gathering ancient wisdom and practical ways to make people more aware. He wanted us to stop reacting and start truly observing ourselves. Think about riding a bike on a route you know well. Sometimes, you just pedal along, thinking about other things. You get there safely, but you barely remember the trees you passed, or the sounds you heard. You were riding, but your mind was somewhere else, asleep to the actual journey. Gurdjieff's work encourages us to truly feel the handlebars, see the colors of the leaves, hear the crunch of the gravel. It's about bringing your full self to each moment. Noticing this idea isn't about changing who you are, but about becoming more of who you could be. It's a quiet journey into your own being, gently pulling back the curtains of your mind. It's about becoming truly present, truly alive in your own life, and fully awake to the simple wonder of being you. Osso's commune, love, meditation, and controversy. Have you ever dreamed of a place where everyone felt truly free, where the only rules were kindness and finding peace inside? Imagine a whole town built on that idea, a grand experiment in living differently. This was the vision behind Osho's commune. He was a spiritual teacher who believed meditation and love could help people shed worries and discover their deepest selves. Thousands of followers yearned for a new way to exist, far from everyday pressures. They built a city called Rajneesh in Oregon, a vibrant splash of red and orange dot. It was a bold attempt to create a perfect world where inner peace was the main goal. People wore robes of sunrise colors, sang, danced, and meditated, exploring feelings without judgment. Think of it like a giant school project. Everyone was building a new way of living. They were testing if total freedom and focus on inner peace could work for a whole town, like a real-life laboratory for happiness. But here's the thing about grand experiments. They often hit unexpected bumps. This commune, full of high hopes, faced many challenges and became very controversial. Disagreements and conflicts arose with surrounding towns. It showed how incredibly difficult it is to build a perfect community, even with good intentions. The story of Osho's commune reminds us that the path to inner freedom and true community is rarely simple. It's a journey filled with both beautiful moments of shared discovery and tough lessons about human nature. It makes you wonder, what does it truly mean to be free, and how can we build places where kindness and understanding always lead the way? Falun Gong, exercise and spiritual growth. Have you ever wondered if there's a way to feel more peaceful, more connected, just by moving your body? Could gentle movements actually help your mind grow calm and clear? This is where a practice called Falun Gong comes in. It's a spiritual system that combines quiet, slow-moving exercises and meditation. But here's the thing. It's not just about the physical movements at its heart. Falun Gong teaches principles like truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. Think of forbearance as a deep kind of patience and understanding. Even when things are tough, people who practice Falun Gong believe that by living by these ideas and by doing the exercises, you can improve yourself, not just physically, but deep down inside. It's like tending to a garden within you, helping the good seeds grow strong. This practice began in China in the early 1990s. It spread really quickly because many people found it helped them feel healthier, less stressed, and more hopeful. Imagine how sometimes, when you're really worried, your thoughts swirl like leaves in a windstorm. But then, maybe you go for a quiet walk, or just sit still, and your mind begins to settle. That's a bit like the feeling Falun Gong aims for, but on a deeper, more consistent level. The movements are soft, flowing, almost like a slow dance. They're designed to smooth out the energy pathways in your body, which practitioners believe helps your spirit feel more free. It's a bit like how a river flows best when no rocks block its path. When you practice, you're not just moving your arms and legs, You're learning to quiet the world's noise and listen to the stillness within. And that's why it matters. Finding this inner calm can help you face everyday challenges with a more open heart and a stronger sense of purpose. It reminds us that true strength often comes from quiet, thoughtful ways. Cao Dai, a mix of many faiths. Have you ever wondered what would happen if all the world's wisdom traditions came together, like different streams flowing into one vast ocean? Imagine a path woven from many, a single beautiful journey. That's a lot like Cao Dai. It began in Vietnam. In the early 1900s, the people who started Cao Dai looked at the great faiths around them, the calm of Buddhism, the balance of Taoism, the order of Confucianism, the love of Christianity, the devotion of Islam. They saw powerful truths connecting them all, not just differences. Here's the thing, Cao Dai believes all these paths, deep down, seek the same understanding, the same light. It's like making a playlist of your favorite songs. You might have pop, rock, classical, hip-hop. Each sounds different, but they all aim to make you feel something, make you move, or help you think. Cao Dai tries to do that for spirituality, blending the best melodies from many traditions. They built temples with unique, blended architectural styles. Their ceremonies draw from various practices. The idea isn't to replace other faiths, but to see the universal threads running through them. It's a quiet hope that if we look closely, we'll find common ground, a shared heart in humanity's quest for meaning. So, Cao Dai asks us, what if peace could be found in acknowledging the beauty of every path, seeing them as different languages, speaking the same truth? It's a gentle reminder that unity isn't erasing differences, but celebrating how they all point towards something larger than ourselves. It suggests that even though our journeys look different, we are all walking towards a similar light. Agnosticism. Maybe there's a God, maybe not. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, filled with countless stars, and felt a quiet wonder about everything? Have you ever thought about things we just can't know for sure, no matter how hard we try? Here's the thing, that feeling, that sense of uncertainty, is deeply connected to a way of thinking called agnosticism. Agnosticism isn't about saying, there is no God, like atheism does. And it's not about saying, God definitely exists, like many religions believe. Instead, agnosticism is simply saying, we don't know for certain. And maybe we can't know for certain whether a God or gods exist. It's an honest, humble thought about the biggest questions. It's about acknowledging the limits of what human beings can truly understand or prove. The word agnostic itself was coined by a scientist named Thomas Huxley in the 1800s. He felt it was wrong to claim to know things about the universe that couldn't be proven with evidence or reason. For him, and for those who think this way, it's about being okay with not having all the answers. It's about holding a space for possibility, without definite proof. Think about it like this. Imagine you have a very complex math problem. You've tried every method you know, but you just can't find the answer, and maybe no one else can either. An agnostic person would say, I don't know the answer to this problem, and it's possible no one ever will. They don't say the answer doesn't exist, just that it hasn't been found, or perhaps can't be found by us. This way of thinking isn't about being confused or avoiding a choice. It's about finding peace in the unknown. It's about a gentle curiosity, allowing the universe to hold its mysteries without needing to label them or force an answer. It's a quiet wonder, open to what might be, and calm about what cannot be known. Atheism, no gods, just us. Have you ever wondered what it's like to look at the world, all its beauty and its challenges, and not imagine a guiding hand above it all? Humans have sought answers to big questions. Where did we come from? Why are we here? Many spiritual systems offer a divine plan. But what if the answer to those deep questions comes not from a god, but from within us, and from the natural world around us? This is where atheism steps in. It's not about fighting against something. It's more about a deep, quiet feeling that stories of gods aren't quite true for them. For an atheist, the world works because of natural laws, like gravity or how plants grow towards the sun. There isn't a hidden force. It's just the world, working as it does. This way of seeing things isn't new. Thinkers from long ago, even before big religions spread, sometimes questioned if gods were real. As science grew, natural explanations made more sense than supernatural ones. Imagine you're figuring out a tough puzzle. You don't wait for a magical answer. Instead, you look closely at the pieces. You try different angles. You use your own mind and effort to solve it. When it clicks, satisfaction comes from your work, from your understanding. This is how many atheists see life. We aren't waiting for a divine revelation to show us the way. We are the ones who look for answers, who build our world, who find our purpose. So, if there are no gods, where does meaning come from? For many atheists, meaning isn't handed down. It's built right here, by us. It's found in the quiet beauty of a sunset, in discoveries, of science, in the kindness we show to each other. It's a belief that our time here is precious. What we do with it, how we treat the earth and each other, is what truly matters. It's about finding wonder in the human heart and the natural world, without needing anything more. Secular humanism, doing good without religion. Have you ever thought about why we try to be good? Is it because someone told us to, or because we hope for a reward later, or avoid punishment? Or does something just feel right, deep inside, when we help others? This is where secular humanism steps in, a way of looking at the world that finds meaning and goodness in human beings themselves. Not in a god or a spiritual rulebook. It's about believing in people. It suggests that we can build a kind, fair world by using our reason, our empathy, and our shared human experience. This idea isn't new at all. Think about the great thinkers throughout history who valued logic and human kindness, even before the word humanism was common. During a time called the Enlightenment, people started to really focus on human potential and scientific discovery as ways to improve life on Earth. They believed that our pitted intelligence and compassion could truly guide us. Here's the thing, it's like a community cleanup day. Nobody is forcing you to pick up trash, and you're not doing it to please some spirit. You do it because you see a mess, you care about your neighborhood, and you want to make it better for everyone who lives there. You do it because it's the right thing to do for your shared home and the people in it. The good feeling comes from contributing, from seeing the positive change you helped create with your own hands. So, for secular humanism, doing good is its own reward. It's about understanding that we all share this planet, and it's up to us, as humans, to make it a better, more just place. It's a quiet belief in the best parts of ourselves, a gentle call to compassion that whispers, we are in this together, and our kindness truly matters. Transhumanism, becoming more than human. Have you ever looked at a star, or felt a tiny ant crawl, and wondered about being alive, truly human? And then, have you imagined if we could become more, not just a little better, but truly different? This deep, hopeful and sometimes challenging dream is what we call transhumanism. Here's the thing, it's about using science and technology, not just to fix what's broken, but to go beyond our natural limits. Humans have always tried to improve, from early tools to modern medicine. But transhumanism asks, what if we could design ourselves to be smarter, healthier, or even live for hundreds of years? This ancient wish for godlike abilities, or endless life, was once only in myths. Now, some believe we can reach these dreams through advanced science. Here's what I found. Imagine someone needs glasses to see. Simple. But what if we could change their actual eyes, perhaps genetically, so they could see perfectly, or even in the dark, forever? It's not just about fixing a problem, it's about upgrading our very existence. Transhumanism is like wanting to grow wings, not just build an airplane. It pushes the boundaries of what we understand about being human. So, here's the problem, and the wonder, if we can change our bodies and minds so deeply, adding new senses or abilities, what does that mean for who we truly are? When does human become more than human? And is that a path we should take? It makes us think about our nature, our spirit, and the future of our journey on Earth. This idea quietly asks us to look deeply at what makes us us, and what we might choose to become. It's a quiet question for us all. Ecofeminism, saving Earth, empowering women. Have you ever thought about how we treat our planet, and how we treat each other? Sometimes, the way we think about Earth, like it's just a resource, feels a lot like how some people have thought about women or other less powerful groups. Ecofeminism is a way of thinking that says, there's a deep connection here. It believes the problems our planet faces, like pollution or too many trees cut, are linked to how societies have treated women and others as less important, as things to control. For a long time, some cultures saw nature as wild, needing to be tamed. This was similar to how they sometimes treated women or certain communities. This often led to harming the environment and limiting people's freedom. But here's the thing, ecofeminism suggests that if we want to heal Earth, we also need to change how we see and treat all people, especially those pushed aside. It's about seeing value and connection everywhere. Think about a school garden. If you only pull weeds aggressively and force plants to grow without understanding their needs, the garden might struggle. But if you nourish the soil gently, understand each plant's rhythm, and respect its natural way, the garden will flourish. This is like how ecofeminism sees our world. It's not about forcing things, but about nurturing and respecting the worth of nature and every person. So, this idea asks us to use a softer, more caring approach. It's a call to understand that when we truly respect the earth, listening to its needs, and living in balance, we naturally begin to respect each other more deeply. It's about building a world where everyone and everything can thrive together. It's a gentle whisper. Caring for our planet and caring for people are two sides of the same beautiful coin. Deep ecology. All life has value. Have you ever just stopped and looked closely at something small in nature? Maybe a tiny patch of moss on a stone, green and soft. Or watched a busy ant carry a crumb, focused on its journey. What if everything, no matter how small or how different, held its own special worth, just by being itself? This deep idea is at the heart of something called deep ecology. It's more than just saving the planet because it helps humans. Instead, it's about understanding that every single living thing, from a giant redwood tree to a microscopic speck of algae, has its own right to exist and to thrive. Their value isn't just about what they can do for us. Their value is intrinsic, meaning it's built right into them, simply because they are alive. This way of thinking really took shape in the 1970s, with thinkers like Arne and Dees leading the way. For a long time, many societies acted as if humans were totally separate from nature, or even superior to it. Deep ecology gently asks us to reconsider that. It urges us to see ourselves not as rulers of the earth, but as just one thread in its vast, intricate tapestry of life. Think about a huge, beautiful painting made up of countless tiny brushstrokes. Each stroke, no matter how small, adds to the whole picture. If you decide some colors or shapes aren't important and erase them, the painting starts to lose its power and meaning. In the same way, every species, every ecosystem, plays a vital role in the health and beauty of our planet. They aren't just resources for us to use. They are precious parts of the whole. So deep ecology isn't just a philosophy. It's an invitation to feel more deeply connected to everything around us. It's about practicing a kind of universal respect, not just for other people, but for the forests, the oceans, the tiniest insects, and the grandest mountains. When we truly believe that all life has value, our choices begin to shift. We start to walk more gently on the earth, listen more closely to its rhythms. It's a quiet, powerful sense of belonging in this incredible world we share, and a way to live with care. Gaia hypothesis. Earth, as a living being. Have you ever stood on the earth and felt a whisper? A sense that our planet isn't just a giant rock, but something deeply, vibrantly alive. The Gaia hypothesis explores this very feeling, suggesting something profound, that Earth, with all its oceans, forests, air, and living creatures, behaves like one massive interconnected living organism. It's as if the planet itself breathes, adapts, and maintains its own delicate balance to support life. This idea, though it sounds poetic, came from a brilliant scientist named James Lovelock in the 1970s. He worked with biologist Lynn Margulis. They noticed how life and the planet's environment weren't separate. They seemed to work together, constantly influencing each other, like a body keeping itself well. This also echoes older wisdom, where many cultures saw Mother Earth as a nurturing, conscious entity. Think about your own body for a moment. Your heart pumps, lungs breathe, skin protects. All these parts work in harmony to keep you alive. If you get a fever, your body tries to cool down. If you cut yourself, it works to heal. The Gaia hypothesis suggests Earth does this on a grand scale, regulating its temperature, atmosphere, and oceans to stay stable, keeping life flourishing. This idea invites us to look at our home with new eyes, not just as a resource, but as a living partner. It deepens our understanding of our place. If we are truly part of this grand, living Earth, then every action, every choice, ripples through its very being. It calls us to treat our planet with the quiet respect and wonder we'd give to any living thing, understanding that its health is truly our own. New Age thinking, positive vibes, new ideas. Have you ever noticed how your thoughts can actually change how you feel, or even what happens around you? It's a powerful idea, isn't it? For centuries, people have explored connections between our inner world and the outer world. But imagine a way of thinking that really emphasizes this, focusing on positive energy, personal growth, and finding your own spiritual path, often outside of very old, set-in-stone religions. That's a bit like New Age thinking. This isn't about one specific religion or set of rules. Instead, it's more like a broad river, flowing with many different ideas. It started to become more noticeable in the Western world around the 1970s and 80s. People were looking for new ways to understand themselves and the universe. They were often curious about ancient spiritual traditions from places like India or Native American cultures, blending them with modern psychology and self-help ideas. So, you might find ideas about meditation, chakras, crystals, or even the law of attraction, the idea that positive thoughts can bring positive things into your life. It's about believing in the power of your own mind and spirit to shape your reality. Think about it like this. Imagine you have a big test coming up. If you spend all your time thinking, I'm going to fail, this is too hard, how do you feel? Probably anxious and not very motivated. But what if you try to shift those thoughts? What if you say to yourself, I can study for this, I'll do my best, and I'll learn something new? It doesn't magically make the test easy, but it changes your feeling, your energy. You might study more effectively, or approach the test with a calmer mind. That shift in internal energy, that belief in your own ability to create a better experience, is a core part of this path. It's about understanding that our inner world has a huge impact. This way of thinking invites us to look inward, to trust our own intuition, and to believe that we can create positive change, not just for ourselves, but in the world. It's a quiet whisper that says, your spirit matters, and your energy can ripple out. It's about finding hope and strength within yourself, shaping your own bright path. Prosperity gospel. God wants you rich. Have you ever wondered if strong belief could actually make good things happen for you in the real world? Not just a feeling inside, but truly changing your life. This idea is central to something called the prosperity gospel. This belief system suggests God wants everyone to be rich and healthy, not just rich in spirit, but also with money, good health, and success on earth. The idea is that if you have faith, and sometimes sow a seed through donations, God will bless you back even more. It's seen as a sign of God's favor. This way of thinking isn't ancient. It really grew in the 20th century, especially in Christian churches in America, then globally. For a long time, many spiritual paths focused on patience, humility, even finding good in being poor. But the prosperity gospel flips this. It says wealth and health are signs of God's blessing, and that sickness or poverty might mean less faith. Think of it like this. Imagine you want to get good at something, like playing a sport. If you truly believe you can succeed, and you put in the practice, you're setting yourself up for a win. You're putting in effort, expecting a good result. The prosperity gospel links this idea of effort and expectation to faith and God's reward. It's like, if you truly believe God wants you to prosper, and you act on that belief often by giving, then prosperity comes your way. So, this belief makes us wonder, what does it truly mean to be blessed? Is our value tied to what we own or how well we feel? What about those who struggle, despite their faith? It asks us to think about where real richness lies, and if it's always something we can hold. It reminds us blessings come in many forms, and sometimes, the deepest ones are not about money. Megachurches, big faith, big gatherings. Have you ever thought about how big a gathering can get, especially when it's about faith? Imagine a place where thousands upon thousands of people come together, not for a concert or a sports event, but to explore something deep inside them. That's what a megachurch often is, a very, very large church, sometimes with tens of thousands of members. For a long time, churches were usually smaller, local places, familiar and cozy. But in the last few decades, something shifted. As cities grew and life became faster, people still craved community, still looked for a place where they belonged. Megachurches grew to meet this need. Here's the thing, they offered a new kind of spiritual home, one that felt vibrant and full of energy, with modern music and many ways to connect. Think of it like a massive, welcoming community, all focused on shared beliefs. It's a bit like being in a huge school assembly, but where everyone is there because they truly want to understand life's big questions and feel connected to something larger than themselves. The sheer number of people creates a powerful feeling, almost like a shared heartbeat across a vast space. It's like when a small, local stream joins a powerful river, and suddenly, there's this incredible flow. In these vast buildings, a person can feel both small in the grand scheme of things and wonderfully connected to everyone around them. It's about finding your place in a shared journey, surrounded by countless others who are searching for similar answers. It makes you think about the powerful, quiet hum of many hearts beating as one, reaching for something sacred and true. And that's why it matters that even in our huge, modern world, people still gather in massive numbers, seeking comfort, connection, and a deeper meaning together. Evangelical power, spreading the word. Have you ever felt something so strongly, so deeply, that you just had to tell someone else? That feeling is a little like what evangelical power means in spiritual systems. It's not about forcing ideas, but about a powerful desire to share a truth or a way of life that you believe is incredibly important, maybe even life-changing for others. It's a deep conviction, a burning ember inside, that makes you want to spread its warmth. Don't think about ancient travelers, or people centuries ago, who carried their sacred stories and beliefs, not just in their hearts, but in their journeys. They weren't always armies or conquerors. Often, they were just individuals, monks, or merchants, who genuinely felt that what they knew, their spiritual path, could offer comfort, meaning, or hope to others. They believed these ideas were gifts. So, they shared them, one conversation at a time, across deserts and oceans, through quiet towns and bustling cities. It wasn't just about sharing information, it was sharing a piece of their soul. This sharing built bridges, and sometimes it changed the course of entire societies. Imagine you found the most amazing book, or discovered a secret spot in nature that brings you peace. You don't keep it hidden, do you? You want your friends to experience that same wonder, that same calm. You might describe it, tell them why it matters to you, hoping they'll see the beauty too. That natural urge to share something good, something meaningful, is a whisper of this spreading power. It's a human impulse to connect and to offer what we cherish. So, when we talk about spiritual systems spreading, it's often about this quiet, persistent act of sharing. It's a testament to how profoundly beliefs can touch a person, making them feel so connected that they wish to extend that feeling, that understanding, to the wide world around them. It reminds us that our deepest convictions often ask to be shared, not just for us, but for the vast tapestry of human hearts. Charismatic fire, gifts of the spirit. Have you ever met someone who just seems to glow? Not with actual light, but with an inner warmth, a way of being that touches everyone around them. This feeling, this natural pull towards inspiring or helping others, is what many ancient wisdom traditions called gifts of the spirit. It's not just about magic or something you can't understand. Here's the thing, it's about recognizing those unique, deep-seated strengths that feel like they come from a place deeper than just learning or practice. Think of it like this. Some people are naturally good at telling stories that make you feel everything. Others have a calming presence that soothes worries, or a way of seeing solutions where no one else can. These aren't just skills. They're like a gentle, powerful current flowing through them, guiding their actions. For centuries, people have observed that certain individuals seem to carry this inner fire. Ancient cultures saw leaders, healers, or artists with extraordinary abilities as blessed with these spiritual gifts. They weren't just talented, they felt almost destined to use their unique qualities for the good of their community. Like a person who instinctively knows how to bring people together, or someone with a natural grace that makes them amazing at a sport, even without years of training. It's like a built-in ability to connect, to create, to uplift. Consider a friend who is always there for you. They don't just listen, they genuinely understand and offer comfort in a way no one else can. That deep empathy, it's a gift. It's a part of who they are, shaping how they interact with the world. Or think about a great inventor. It's not just smarts, but a unique way of looking at problems, seeing connections others miss. And that's why it matters. These gifts, whether big or small, are part of the human journey. They remind us that each person carries a unique spark, a special inner contribution. It's a quiet truth. Every one of us holds a potential to brighten the world in our own way. Pentecostal joy, speaking in tongues. Have you ever felt something so incredibly big inside you, maybe pure joy, or a deep kind of wonder, that words just didn't seem enough? Like your heart was full, and no sentence could really capture it. Here's the thing. In Pentecostal Christianity, there's a practice called speaking in tongues, often known as glossolalia. It's not like learning a foreign language, like Spanish or French. Instead, it's described as a spiritual language, a direct communication with the divine. People who experience it say it's a flow of sounds, sometimes rhythmic or musical, that comes from deep within their spirit, a language understood by God, even if not by human ears. This idea has roots in ancient stories. In the Bible, during an event called Pentecost, the first followers of Jesus suddenly began speaking in various languages they didn't know, and people from different nations understood them perfectly. For Pentecostals today, speaking in tongues is seen as a powerful sign of the Holy Spirit's presence, a spiritual gift, bringing immense joy and a deep sense of connection. Think about a musician lost in their music. They're not just playing notes, they're pouring out emotion that words alone can't express. The sounds become the feeling. Or imagine an artist creating an abstract painting. It might not show a clear picture, but it conveys a powerful mood or idea that resonates deeply. Speaking in tongues is kind of like that, an expression so profound, so personal, that it transcends everyday language. It's a language of the soul. For those experiencing it, it's a release, a moment where their spirit feels fully alive and connected. It's a profound testament to how humans seek to touch the untouchable, to articulate the inarticulable. It reminds us that our deepest truths, our greatest joys, sometimes need a voice beyond the words we use every day. A pure outpouring from the heart. Amish way, simple lives, strong faith. Have you ever thought about what it would feel like to live without all the noise and rush of our modern world? To wake up to the quiet hum of nature instead of buzzing screens? For the Amish, this isn't just a dream, it's a deeply chosen way of life. They believe in living simply, holding tight to their faith and community, separate from many parts of modern society. It's a path they chose long ago, when their ancestors came from Europe seeking the freedom to practice their beliefs without interference. They decided that following God's word meant focusing on humility, hard work, and helping each other, rather than chasing new technologies or worldly things. They build their homes without electricity from the grid, travel in horse-drawn buggies, and often farm the land with their hands. This isn't about being against new things, but about making a careful choice. They ask, will this new thing bring us closer to God and our community, or will it pull us away? Think about a clear night sky. If you're in the city, the bright lights from buildings and streets hide most of the stars. But if you go somewhere truly dark, far from all that noise and light, suddenly you see millions of stars, bright and clear. For the Amish, choosing a simpler life is like moving away from the city lights. It lets them see their faith and their community, strong and bright, without all the distractions. Their way of life reminds us that true richness isn't always about having more things. Sometimes, it's about having less so you can truly focus on what matters most. The connections you make, the beliefs you hold, and the quiet strength you find within yourself. It's a deep, calm whisper in a loud world. Quakers quiet, listening for the inner light. Have you ever felt a quiet voice inside you, telling you what's right? A feeling of calm certainty, even when everything else is loud and confusing. For hundreds of years, the Quakers, also known as the Religious Society of Friends, have centered their lives around this very idea, listening for what they call the inner light. Imagine a spiritual path where there are no sermons, no fancy altars, no priests telling you what to believe. Instead, people gather in a simple room, sometimes in silence, just waiting. They believe that God, or divine wisdom, lives within each person. It's a direct connection, a quiet spark of truth that everyone carries inside them. This idea, first shared by George Fox in the 1600s, meant that anyone, no matter their background, could find their own truth and guidance directly, without needing anyone else to interpret it for them. This focus on individual experience led them to value equality deeply, treating everyone with the same respect, because everyone held that same inner light. Think of it like this. Sometimes, when you're facing a tough decision, like what to do, about a friendship problem or a tricky school assignment, your mind might race with a million different thoughts. But then, if you just take a deep breath and quiet all the noise, a clear feeling might emerge. It's not a loud voice. It's more like a gentle knowing, a deep feeling in your gut that tells you the best path forward, the kindest choice, or the most honest answer. That quiet knowing, that deep sense of what feels true and right, is a little like what the Quakers mean by the inner light. It's always there, ready to guide you, if you just give it space to shine. So, in a world full of shouting and constant demands, the Quaker tradition reminds us of the power of stillness. It teaches us that true wisdom might not be found in grand speeches or ancient books, but in the quiet, steady glow within our own hearts. It's a reminder to trust that gentle flicker of truth and compassion that dwells inside each of us, waiting to be heard. Shakers dance, pure faith, simple living. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to live a life totally focused on peace, sharing, and finding joy in everyday tasks? Imagine a group who believed that pure faith could make their world beautiful through simplicity. These were the Shakers, a spiritual community that began in England in the 1700s and later grew strong in America. They got their name, Shaker, from how they worshipped. They would shake, dance, and sing with great emotion, believing these movements brought them closer to God. It wasn't about fancy rituals. It was about honest, heartfelt expression. They saw faith in every part of their lives. For the Shakers, even hard work was a form of prayer. They made furniture that was incredibly simple, yet so useful and beautiful. Its design still inspires people today. Think of a perfectly made wooden chair, no extra decorations, just strong lines, built to last. Every part had a purpose. It wasn't just furniture. It showed their belief that true beauty comes from honesty and usefulness. The Shakers lived communally, meaning they shared everything. No one owned private property. Men and women lived separately but worked together, treating each other as equals. This was a radical idea for their time. They believed in celibacy, meaning they didn't marry or have children. So, their communities grew by people choosing to join them. Their lives were about order, cleanliness, and harmony. Consider how a cluttered room feels versus one that's tidy. When your space is clear, you think better, right? You focus on what matters. That peaceful feeling is a bit like how the Shakers lived. They cleared away the clutter of the outside world, things like greed and too much stuff, to make room for what they thought was most important: spiritual connection and caring for others. So, while their way of life was unique and eventually faded, the Shakers left us with a strong idea. What if finding real meaning isn't about having a lot, but about finding peace in less? Their quiet dedication shows us that sometimes the biggest impact comes from living simply and with an open heart. Transcendentalism, nature, soul, and self. Have you ever walked deep into the woods, or sat by a quiet lake, and felt a strange calm wash over you, like the air itself was breathing peace into your very being? This feeling, this deep connection to something larger than yourself, is a little like what a group of thinkers called transcendentalists felt in the 1800s. Here's the thing about transcendentalism. It wasn't about finding truth in a specific building or through strict rules. Instead, these American writers and philosophers, like Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau, believed truth could be found right inside you and everywhere in the natural world. They thought each person held a piece of what they called the Oversoul, a grand, connecting spirit. This meant your own soul was important, sacred even. They saw society sometimes pushing us away from this inner truth, urging us to conform rather than think for ourselves. Think of it this way. Imagine you're drawing or playing a musical instrument and you get totally lost in it. You're not thinking about what others want or what the rules are. You're just doing, and it feels right. It feels true. That moment of pure, honest self-expression is a lot like what transcendentalists meant by trusting your inner voice. They believed society could pull us away from this, making us follow crowds instead of our own path. This philosophy encouraged people to listen to their own hearts, finding their moral compass not from books, but from within, and through truly experiencing nature. It's a gentle reminder that profound insights often come from moments of quiet connection, both with the wild world outside and the untamed spirit within. It teaches us that our unique thoughts and feelings hold immense value, helping us discover deep truths by simply listening closely. Romani ways, travelers and their spirits. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like if your spiritual home wasn't a building, but the wide open road and the vast, changing sky above? For the Romani people, often called Roma, their long history of journeying shaped everything about them, especially their spiritual outlook. Their beliefs don't center on one fixed temple. Instead, they truly see spirit everywhere, in the rustle of ancient leaves, the gentle flow of a river, the endless night sky, and the winding path ahead. Imagine moving from place to place for centuries, always carrying your culture and deepest beliefs with you. The Romani people, whose roots trace back to India, traveled across continents, adapting and enduring. This path taught them that what is truly sacred isn't bound to a single spot. It lives within the journey itself, in the strong community you carry, and in the quiet wisdom passed down through stories and songs. Their spiritual world is rich with respect for ancestors, for nature's subtle whispers, and for a powerful, unseen connection guiding their steps. They found incredible strength in adapting, in finding beauty and meaning wherever they found rest. Even for a short time, don't think about how you feel exploring new places, like hiking a different trail or visiting a new town. Each new experience leaves its mark on you. It adds to who you are becoming. The Romani understanding of spirituality is quite like that. It's not about staying in one room forever. Instead, it's about how every new landscape, every new person you meet, deepens your understanding of the world and of your own spirit. Your inner world expands with every new horizon. So, the Romani way offers us a quiet, powerful teaching that true spirituality isn't just about where you stand, but deeply about how you move through your life. It's about finding the sacredness hidden within the journey, in the gentle breeze that accompanies you, and in the warm connection you share with people walking beside you. It's a reminder that a profound peace, a true home, can always be carried within, no matter where the path of life may lead. Siberian shamans, drumming for the soul. Have you ever felt a deep rhythm, maybe from a song, that just seems to speak to something inside you? It's like the beat finds a hidden part of your feelings, making them wake up. For thousands of years, in the vast cold lands of Siberia, people knew this feeling well. They understood that sound, especially the steady beat of a drum, could do more than just make music. It could actually help the soul. These people were the shamans. They weren't just wise elders. They were spiritual guides and healers. For them, the world we see every day was only one part of reality. There were other worlds too, spirit worlds, where answers and healing could be found. And here's the thing, their drum was their most important tool. It wasn't just wood and animal skin. It was a living bridge. When a shaman played their drum, the steady, rhythmic beat was like a heartbeat for the soul. It helped them enter a special state, a kind of deep focus, so they could travel to these other realms. They went there to find lost parts of a person's spirit, or to ask for guidance when someone was sick or troubled. The drumming was a journey, not for the body, but for the mind and spirit. Think about how a calming walk in nature can clear your head and make you feel more like yourself, or how listening to your favorite music can help you relax or even find new energy when you feel tired. The shaman's drum worked in a similar, but much deeper, way. It helped them move beyond everyday worries and connect with something vast and ancient, something that whispered truths from the very heart of the world. So, the drumming for the soul wasn't about making loud noise. It was about finding a quiet connection, about listening to the earth and the spirits, and understanding that inner peace often comes from finding your own unique rhythm in life. It reminds us that sometimes we need to slow down and listen to our own inner drumbeat to find our way back to ourselves. Inca sun worship, gold, empire, and gods. Have you ever felt the sun's warmth on your skin, so bright it feels like a living thing? Imagine a whole civilization, high in the mountains, believing that this golden light was their ultimate god, the source of all life and power. For the Inca people, the sun was not just a star. It was Inti, their father god, and his presence shaped everything. Their world revolved around Inti. The emperor, called the Sapa Inca, was believed to be Inti's own child, making him a living god on earth. This idea wasn't just a story, it was the foundation of their vast empire. When they conquered new lands, they brought not just their armies, but their sun god, too. They built magnificent temples dedicated to Inti, covering them in gleaming gold, because gold was seen as the sun's sacred sweat. Silver was the moon's tears. These precious metals weren't just wealth, they were holy. Think about how a big school event, like a sports championship or a play, brings everyone together. The whole school gets excited, works towards a common goal, and feels a strong sense of pride. For the Inca, their worship of Inti was like that, but on a much grander scale, every single day. It was the energy that bound their people, their rulers, and their entire way of life. The sun's journey across the sky marked their planting, their harvests, their festivals. So, the sun wasn't just a distant light. It was family, ruler, and guiding force. Even today, when the sun rises over those ancient mountains, you can almost feel the deep connection the Inca people had. It reminds us how ancient cultures found profound meaning in the natural world, seeing divinity in the very light that sustains us all. Mayan cycles, time, calendars, and cosmos. Have you ever thought about how time works? Does it just move forward in a straight line, like an arrow shot into the future? Or is there something deeper, something that comes back around? For the ancient Maya, time wasn't just a simple line. It was more like a massive breathing circle, always moving, always returning. A cosmic dance. The Maya were brilliant watchers of the sky and earth. They saw the sun rise and set, the moon wax and wane, the stars shift across the night in predictable ways. They noticed patterns, deep and beautiful, woven into everything. This led them to create incredibly complex calendars, like the sacred, round and the hob, which tracked different cycles of days and years. Here's the thing, these weren't just ways to mark dates on a wall. For the Maya, time itself was alive, imbued with spirit, and each day carried its own unique energy. They believed that by understanding these sacred cycles, they could connect with the very heartbeat of the universe and its divine rhythms. They saw the cosmos, everything around us, as always moving through repeating periods of creation and, sometimes, renewal. Think about the seasons we experience here. Spring brings new life, summer sees growth, autumn offers harvests, and winter brings a quiet rest. Then, spring comes again. It's a cycle that happens every year. Each spring is new, with different flowers and weather, but the idea of spring, of fresh beginnings, always returns. The Maya looked at the entire universe this way, seeing vast cycles much grander than our seasons, guiding everything from the smallest seed to the grandest star. This deep connection to unending cycles meant they felt truly part of something immense and eternal. They understood that while everything changes, nothing truly ends. It transforms and returns in some new form. And that's why it matters to us today. This way of thinking can help us remember that endings often lead to new beginnings. Just like winter always gives way to spring, it gently reminds us that we are all part of a grand, ongoing dance, a timeless rhythm that connects us not only to the stars above, but to the pulsing life all around us. Aztec sacrifice, gods of blood and sun. Have you ever thought about what it means for something to be truly essential, like the air we breathe, or the very ground beneath our feet? For the ancient Aztecs, in a land we now call Mexico, the sun was not just essential, it was a living being, a powerful god called Huitzilopochtli, who needed constant energy to keep moving across the sky. If the sun stopped, they believed, the world would plunge into darkness and end. Here's the thing, they saw life as a cycle of debt and repayment. The gods had given them life, corn, rain, and everything good. To keep these gifts coming, the Aztecs felt a deep need to give back the most precious thing they had, human life, in ritual sacrifice. It wasn't about cruelty, but a terrifying responsibility. They believed these acts fed the sun, ensuring that tomorrow would come, that the crops would grow, and that their people would survive. It was a desperate bargain with the universe. Think about it this way. Your phone needs to be charged to work, right? If you don't plug it in, it dies, and you can't use it. For the Aztecs, the sun god was like that phone, and human blood was the charge it needed. Without it, the world's battery would run out, and everything would stop. They were living in a constant state of fear that if they didn't offer enough, the sun would just give up. It's hard for us to understand today, but this belief was the very center of their spiritual lives. It shows us how deeply people can believe in things, and how much they are willing to give. Even the most profound sacrifice, when they feel the survival of their entire world depends on it. It reminds us that across time, humans have wrestled with the biggest questions of existence, and found incredibly different, often intense, ways to answer them. Sufi poetry, love songs to the divine. Have you ever felt a feeling so deep, so strong, that ordinary words just weren't enough? Maybe it was joy, or wonder, or a love so big it swelled inside you. When we feel something truly immense, we often turn to art, to music, to painting, or to poetry. For a group of people called Sufis, this feeling is a profound, passionate love for the divine, for God, and they express it through some of the most beautiful poetry ever written. Sufism is a spiritual path within Islam. It's not just about following rules. It's about an inner journey, a search for a direct, personal connection with the divine, a true friendship with the creator of everything. Sufis believe that the world around us, and especially the human heart, holds clues to this infinite love. They often speak of God, not as a distant ruler, but as the beloved. And so, their poems are like love songs, filled with longing, devotion, and a deep sense of belonging. Think about how you feel when you hear your absolute favorite song. It's not just words and notes. It's a feeling that washes over you, connects with something inside you that you can't quite explain. Or maybe you've seen a sunset so stunning it takes your breath away, and you just feel something incredible. That's a bit like what Sufi poets try to do with words. They use metaphors like a lover yearning for their beloved, or a drop of water returning to the ocean to hint at this vast, unexplainable connection. They write about beauty, about light, about the sweet pain of separation, and the joy of coming closer. Figures like Rumi, a famous Sufi poet, wrote thousands of lines that still move people today, centuries later. His words speak of a universal love that goes beyond religion, inviting us all to feel that connection. So Sufi poetry isn't just old verses, it's a timeless invitation to feel deeply, to open your heart, and to realize that love, in its purest form, can be a path to understanding something truly divine within and around us. It shows us that beauty, longing, and connection are not just human feelings, but perhaps reflections of a greater love that holds the universe together. Zen calligraphy, art as meditation. Have you ever drawn something, like a simple doodle, and felt completely lost in it? Your hand just moves, and your thoughts quiet down. That feeling is a lot like what Zen calligraphy is about. It's not just about making beautiful letters or pictures with ink and a brush. For people who practice Zen, calligraphy is a path to a quiet mind. It's a way to meditate, right there on the paper. You don't aim for perfection, you aim for presence. Here's the thing, each brushstroke is a breath, a moment happening right now. This idea comes from Zen Buddhism, which began in ancient China and then became very important in Japan. Zen teaches that true understanding comes from direct experience, not just reading books or thinking hard. So, when a Zen master paints a character, it's not just a symbol, it's a record of their focus, their state of mind in that exact second. They call it Ichigo, Ichi, which means one time, one meeting. Every stroke is unique, never to be repeated exactly the same way. It's about letting go of worry about how it looks and just letting the brush move. Think about when you're really into playing a video game or playing music. You're not thinking about your homework or what happened earlier. You're just there, reacting, moving, totally absorbed in the game or the song. Your mind is quiet because it's so focused. That's a tiny bit like the focus in Zen calligraphy. It's about getting into that flow state where your body and mind work as one, without judgment. So, Zen calligraphy teaches us that even simple actions can be deep meditations. It shows us that true art isn't always about the final product, but about the journey of making it. It's about finding peace and clarity, one careful, mindful brushstroke at a time. And that's why it matters. You can find that kind of peaceful focus in anything you do, if you just let yourself be completely present. Christian mysticism, direct connection to God. Have you ever felt a deep, quiet knowing inside you, like a secret message meant just for you? Imagine wanting to connect with something truly vast and powerful, not just through words or rules, but through a feeling so strong it's like electricity. That's a bit like the heart of Christian mysticism. For many Christians, faith means church and teachings. But for mystics, it's different. They seek God within themselves, in their own hearts and minds, very personally. Think of it like a quiet whisper in your soul, not a loud voice. These mystics wanted to experience God directly, to feel God's presence, not just learn about it. They believed a true, deep connection was possible, a spiritual embrace. This idea isn't new. It's been part of Christianity for centuries. People like Julian of Norwich, from the 1300s, described visions and deep insights she felt came straight from God. It's not about seeing things that aren't real. but about a profound sense of inner presence, a deep peace. It's like looking at a painting and suddenly feeling the artist's emotion, their soul speaking directly to yours. It's similar to feeling completely lost in a favorite song, where the notes are a direct line to your feelings, or standing in a huge, quiet forest, feeling deeply connected to everything around you. Christian mystics sought that same intense, personal connection, but with God. So Christian mysticism isn't about grand public displays, it's about a quiet journey inward. It's about discovering a sacred space within yourself, where you might sense a profound nearness to the divine. The most powerful connections are often found in the deepest, most still parts of our own hearts. True wonder comes from quiet reflection. Islamic art, patterns reflecting the divine. Have you ever looked at a really detailed pattern, maybe on a rug or a fancy tile, and felt a sense of calm, like there's a hidden order to the lines and shapes? Islamic art often makes us feel this way, but it's not by accident. For centuries, artists in Islamic lands chose to create beauty using amazing geometric designs and flowing calligraphy, instead of drawing people or animals. This choice wasn't just about style. It came from a deep belief. In Islam, there's a big idea called Tawhid, which means God is one, and completely unique. Because God is seen as beyond anything we can picture in human form, artists found other ways to show the divine. They saw endless patterns as a way to hint at God's boundless nature, His perfect order, and the balance in everything. It's like how a scientist might study the exact, repeating way atoms fit together, or how a mathematician finds beauty in a perfect equation. It's about finding the universal rules behind everything. Think about a kaleidoscope. You turn it, and new, beautiful patterns appear, always different, yet always built from the same basic shapes and colors, repeating in a perfect dance. Each new design feels infinite, doesn't it? Islamic artists wanted their viewers to feel that same sense of infinity and divine order when looking at their work. They wanted the art to guide your mind towards something bigger than yourself, something eternal. So when you see those complex starbursts or weaving lines, it's more than just decoration. It's a quiet invitation to reflect on the endless, perfect beauty that connects all things. It's a way to feel the divine presence, not through a face or a figure, but through the pure, balanced harmony of a pattern. It reminds us that sometimes the biggest truths are found in the most elegant, simple structures. Indigenous totems, power animals and clans. Have you ever felt a special connection to a certain animal? Maybe you feel strong like a bear, or quick like a deer. For many indigenous cultures, this feeling goes much deeper. It's about totems, sacred animals or natural objects that link a person or a group to their identity, their history, and the spiritual world. Think of a totem as a spirit guide or a symbol for a whole family, called a clan. These clans often believe they are descended from a specific animal ancestor, like the bear clan or the eagle clan. This isn't just a nickname, it's a profound relationship. The animal isn't just an animal. It embodies qualities, courage, wisdom, freedom, that the people within that clan strive to live by. They feel a responsibility to honor and protect that animal, because in a way, it is them. For example, imagine your favorite sports team. That team has a mascot, right? Maybe it's a tiger, strong and fierce. You wear the team colors, you cheer for them, and you feel like you're part of something bigger with other fans. In a way, that mascot becomes a symbol of your shared identity and values. Indigenous totems are like that, but on a much more ancient, spiritual level. They are about deep kinship, not just team spirit. This connection is rooted in ancient stories, passed down through generations, linking people to their land and to each other. It's a beautiful way to see the world, where humans are not separate from nature, but deeply woven into its fabric. It reminds us that every living thing, from the smallest insect to the towering tree, has a spirit, a lesson, and a place in the grand story of life. And when we understand that, we find our own connection to the vast, wise world around us. Dreamtime stories, creation in Aboriginal art. Have you ever wondered how our world, with all its mountains and rivers, truly began? For the Aboriginal people of Australia, the answer lies in something profound called Dreamtime. It's not just a dream you have at night. Dreamtime is an ancient, ongoing time when powerful ancestor spirits shaped the land, created all living things, and gave the first laws to humanity. It's the very foundation of their existence. These stories, passed down through generations, explain everything. They are sung in ceremonies, told around fires, and beautifully painted onto rocks, bark, and canvases. Aboriginal art, with its swirling lines and intricate dot patterns, isn't just decoration. It's a living map, showing the paths these ancestors took, marking sacred sites, and making the invisible stories of creation visible. Each brushstroke is a whisper of the past, a connection to the very first moments. Think about a favorite family story, maybe how your grandparents first met, or a special memory from your own childhood. That story connects you to your past, helps explain who you are, and shapes your identity. Dreamtime is like that, but on a grander scale. It's the collective memory and spiritual blueprint for an entire people, stretching back tens of thousands of years. Every rock, every waterhole, holds a piece of these ancient creation stories. So these paintings are much more than art. They are sacred echoes of creation, maps of meaning that tie people deeply to their land and history. They remind us that, even today, the world around us holds ancient stories, and they show us how connecting with those stories can bring a deep sense of belonging, a feeling that we are all part of something vast and truly timeless. The future of faith. What comes next? Have you ever wondered what the world might look like far in the future? We've explored so many spiritual systems that shaped history, but what about tomorrow? Will people still find comfort in ancient stories, or will new ideas emerge? Here's the thing, humans have always sought meaning. From our earliest days, we've tried to understand why we are here. Long ago, people saw the sun rise and wondered if a great spirit guided it. That deep need to connect, to belong to something bigger, still lives inside us, like the steady beat of our heart. Think about a river. Rivers are always flowing, always moving. They might carve new paths, join other streams, or even change course. Faith and spiritual paths are like that river. They shift over time. What felt true for your grandparents might feel different for you. New questions arise with new discoveries, like science teaching us more about the universe. This doesn't mean old paths disappear, but they might evolve, finding fresh ways to speak to us. Sometimes, people create new beliefs. Other times, they find deeper meaning in traditions thousands of years old, making them fresh again. It's a journey, not a fixed point. No one knows exactly what the future holds for faith, but we can be sure of this: the human heart will keep searching for hope, for connection, and for something beautiful to believe in. That quiet search, in itself, is a kind of faith.